presentation.
In the first minute of last night's Stanley Cup game in Montreal, the Canadiens' Bobby Smith scores on a power play. His team has an early 1-0 lead. In the second period, it's 1-1, and Ryan Walter scores another Montreal power play goal. It proved to be the winner. The most talked about play of the game, Larry Robinson's body check on Anton Stastny. So it's the Canadiens leading Quebec 2-1. Game 4 tonight from Montreal.
Live on CBC, Hockey Night in Canada, brought to you by Molson Breweries, brewers of Molson Canadian, bringing you the finest in hockey broadcasting for over 25 years. Canadian Tire. There's a lot more to Canadian Tire than tires. Canadian National, in business for Canada. Esso, you make us better. And by Ford of Canada. At Ford, quality is job one. Driving is believing.
It's Game 4 tonight in the Adams Division Final between the Montreal Canadiens and the Quebec Nordiques, live from the Forum in Montreal. Good evening, everybody. This is Dick Irvin in our Hockey Night in Canada studios, welcoming you to our continuing coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs. The divisional finals resume this evening on 4 fronts. I guess it's safe to say the favorites have the lead in 2 of the series, and the underdogs have the lead in the other 2. That's the case here in Montreal because the Canadiens were the underdogs going into their Adams Division Final against their provincial rivals, the Quebec Nordiques. Obviously, the Canadiens are enjoying that particular role. On our Stanley Cup update tonight, we are going to go to the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland, where the defending Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders are meeting the Washington Capitals. Last night, they played Game 3 in that series, a familiar playoff story, a great goaltending performance by the Islanders' Billy Smith, who was the outstanding player on the ice. The Capitals scored first. The giveaway by New York rookie forward Pat LaFontaine sets up a Washington goal on a wicked slap shot by Alan Howard, and the Capitals have a 1-0 lead. That was in the second period. Still in the second period, the Islanders tied the game off a face-off in Washington territory. Another New York rookie, Pat Flatley, ex of the Canadian Olympic team, does the scoring. And it was still tied 1-1 into the third period when the Capitals learned again you can't make playoff mistakes against the Islanders. Defenseman Larry Murphy is guilty of a bad pass giveaway. Greg Gilbert intercepts and sets up Brent Sutter for what proved to be the game-winning goal. The Islanders put it away in the final minute of the third period. This time, Gilbert on the setup again to Brian Frache for an empty net tally. The Islanders take a 2-1 lead in the series with a 3-1 victory last night. Tonight, Brian McFarland will be standing by at the Capitol Center to keep us posted on our updates on that series. Bob Cole will call the play-by-play tonight on our broadcast. Mickey Redmond along with them as the analyst. And the boys were in the respective dressing rooms with some thoughts on tonight's game. First, here's Bob in the Canadiens dressing room.
Who would have thought Montreal Canadiens would hold a 2-1 lead against the Quebec Nordiques in the Adams Division Final at this stage? They weren't supposed to beat Boston. That's history, of course. In fact, they do hold a 2-1 lead on the Quebec Nordiques. The Quebec power play, 3 for 25, a little better than 10%. That's not good enough. Larry Robinson and his defense corps playing great hockey. And they're getting solid goaltending. It's a full team effort. Michel Bergeron says he is not worried. Well, maybe he should be, because the people who occupy this dressing room with a win tonight could take a stranglehold on a conference final berth.
The Quebec Nordiques find themselves in a situation tonight that they didn't think they could be in a week ago when this series began, and that is going back to Quebec on Wednesday night, possibly being behind 3-1 to Montreal. I think the main reason that this kind of situation exists is the Canadiens have played a body contact type series, close checking, and it seems to have thrown the Nordiques off their game. No bigger example was last night when Peter Stastny retaliated on Guy Carbonneau, took a penalty that cost the Nordiques maybe a power play chance to tie that game and throw it into overtime. The Nordiques got by all year long by playing a good, solid offensive style. They don't need to prove anything by retaliating against the Canadiens. If they want to get back into this series, they got to play their type of game, continue to play that offensive style and ignore the tactics of the Canadiens.
So we're set at the Montreal Forum, and this Stanley Cup playoff game begins in just a moment.
Ahoy! Welcome to the Acme Brewery. Great to have you aboard. They say you spent 5 years with Molson Golden, but you learned a lot, huh?
Oh, yes, sir.
Like how they make the golden so darn smooth.
Well,
if we had the secret, we could make our beer just as smooth. Tell me, boy, how did they do it?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't know.
You're fired.
How do they make Molson Golden so smooth? Good question.
I hate them. I hate them.
How to build an expensive radial tire. You build it tough. So tough it meets or exceeds national brand specifications. You build it to last with a 5-year road hazard guarantee. In fact, you build a tire so good it can do something you might not have thought possible. It can replace one or all of the present radials in your car, no matter what brand they are. That's the way we build every Canadian Tire radial tire. It's everything an expensive tire should be, except expensive.
It was moving day. Things were going great. So the moving truck died at the toll booth gate. Timbers were flaring, and some folks were swearing. What's more, it started to pour. The tow truck came. We gave a cheer. The coach just slid out the rear. Now I know that Ryder trucks are newer. They're tougher. They're strong. And driving the bargain sure didn't pay. So next time I'll think this way. Better Ryder than wrong.
Poppins.
For a spoonful of sugar.
Julie Andrews stars in the Disney classic. Mary Poppins, Saturday night.
To complete the schedule, along with the 2 games we will be involved with on this telecast, one way or the other, Minnesota at St. Louis. The Blues leading that series 2-1 after their 3-1 victory last night. And out west at the Olympic Saddledome in Calgary, the Flames and the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers have the 2-1 lead after 3 games in that Smythe Division final. We'll keep you posted with scores from those games as we receive them. Now, let's go up to the broadcast booth. Once again, Bob Cole and Mickey Redmond.
You'd have to say it's a must game for Quebec tonight. They just cannot afford to go back home Wednesday down 3-1. And you know, Canadians know this. So it'll be reach down and give it a little extra in this one, game 4. Good evening, everybody. Yes, Bob Cole here, and with me again tonight in the booth is Mickey Redmond. Brian Lewis, the referee, is now talking to the 2 captains, Bob Gainey of the Canadiens, Mario Marois of the Nordiques. It's a big game tonight for Quebec, Mickey.
Well, it's not only Quebec, Bob, but Montreal has worked so hard to get this far in this series. They can't afford to let down again, or I shouldn't say again, because they have not in the playoffs, but they can't afford to let down tonight and end up having the advantage swing back to Quebec going home with the 2 out of 3 series. They have worked very hard to get this far, and you know they'd love to go into Quebec leading 3-1, and even if they happen to drop game 5 up there, they'd be back here at the Forum Friday night.
Something to think about. Of the 8 playoff games between Quebec and Montreal, the team scoring first has won 7 of the 8 games. That goes back to the 1982 division semis. And now our national anthem with Guy Boucher.
Oh, Canada, terre de nos aïeux, ton trône est ceint de fleurs glorieux, car s'embrasser par tes pères, il sait par tes
from Alliston, Ontario. Ron Finn from Toronto. Leon Stickle, the linesman. The goaltenders tonight. Dan Bouchard is the man of the spot now. He's got to have a strong game tonight for the Nordiques. They want to even the series. For the Canadiens, Steve Penny again, 17 shots last night. Not a lot, but he has been steady as a rock. And he has been getting lots of help from his defensemen, too. They blocked quite a few shots last night. This Canadian team is playing great defensive hockey. Peter Stastny comes to center with Savard. And on the left side, Cote for Quebec, Marois, and LaPointe playing tonight. Point is number 6. Naslund speeding in for Canadians. Tried to go around Marois. Ryan Walter is on there also with Nyland. Now Nyland goes to the bench. And Tremblay is on the ice for Canadians. Offside at the Montreal blue line. Last night's game especially may be a hard-hitting affair. And I think you were right on when you pointed that out. Now, I don't know whether
they're going to start already. It looks like Payman and Walter out in the middle of nowhere, Bob. But you're right. I don't think Quebec can afford to do this. They're letting Montreal take them off their game. We spoke about it on the opening. And I think they're a better hockey club than that. Michel Goulet, who has been having all kinds of problems offensively in the middle of this one. And boy, Payman and Walter looked like they were ready to drop their sticks, but cooler heads prevail early here. I think it's the tactic of the Canadiens has gotten the Quebec team off their game.
Certainly, Quebec, an explosive team coming into the series. They had a great year in the regular season, and they always look to their scoring ability to win hockey games. It wasn't the physical aspect of their game that got them very far. And it seems now as if they want to go head-to-head with the Canadiens, but Montreal has been the better of the two teams when it comes to hitting in this series. And it has been very telling for the Nordiques. Anton Stastny is dressed tonight. He was a question mark after that heavy hit from Robinson last night. Rochefort, a bad ankle, re-injured. He is not dressed tonight. Gillis is also out. Canadians with the same lineup as last night. He came on in behind the net. Might have dumped it in front. That is Green in the corner. Peter Stastny stopped him and got it back near the line. The Canadians shoot it off the boards down the ice. It'll be right on the net for Bouchard. Jump on him right away. Bouchard has to come out. He flipped one high on the glass. The Canadians in forecheck. Laying on the body again. Now Payman will bring it out. Payman up to center ice. Coming in. It's hook checked away by Rick Green. Bowler fading back. Pass. 1 minute mark. The opening period. No score. Green played it ahead. Again, Bowler shooting it in. Nordiques will make changes now. Penny comes out of the net for Green. He was bumped by Cote. Here's Carbonneau. He was really hit, and here's the first penalty of the game. An elbowing penalty against the Quebec Nordiques. Slager will go.
From the Forum in Montreal, this is Stanley Cup 84 on CBC.
Our thinking here has changed from let's get a lot out to let's get the best out.
At Ford, we've made quality job one. We're producing the highest quality of all major North American manufacturers.
I've owned a lot of cars in my lifetime, but this Tempo has to have the best quality and workmanship of any car that I've ever seen.
Driving is believing.
Better and better, see what we've done. At Ford, quality is job one.
Ford, I'm a believer.
Louis Slager of the Quebec Nordiques draws an early penalty, elbowing at 129. Mick, an early penalty, did them in last night. Hunter went off in the first minute, and Bobby Smith scored his goal. Slager takes a run at Carbonneau, and he's gone for 2.
Well, it's one of those offensive zone penalties that you don't like to see, and you don't need to take. I'm sure that was the carryover last night of the problem that Stastny was having with Carbonneau, and it cost the Nordiques at least a 2-minute penalty. Let's see any more.
So Robinson with Naslund. Chelios carries the puck. puck. Lafleur is on the ice and Bobby Smith. And the Canadiens power play coming in. Smith, bumped by Savard. Smith. He was bumped on the boards and lost possession. Now Lafleur tried to get it back to him. He did. Bobby Smith pushed it in front. Aslan is upended. The Nordiques tried to get over in the far corner, but it's Lafleur again. Lafleur dropped it back to Smith at the line. Chelios, that high shot is wide. It hit the referee, Brian Lewis. And it comes back near the blue line, and Cote is out with Savard. Broken out by Robinson. Smith to Lafleur. Lafleur shot. Hard drive and grab by Bouchard. And the Quebec goaltender being tested there by Lafleur hangs on.
Lafleur is still a big favorite in this city. Played last night after missing the previous 3 playoff games. You mentioned that last night, Vic. That's his favorite spot. Comes in from that right side. Some people think he should move in a little deeper on a lot of those plays.
Well, he scored a lot of goals in that position, so why give it up now? But Lafleur does like to go wide down there. Very seldom you see him go into the middle. He does like to keep it out wide where he can get a good shot on goal. He shoots the puck well enough to score out there, so why not let it go?
Brian McFarland is in Washington tonight, and he'll bring us all the highlights of that hockey game. The New York Islanders, Washington. Here we have no score. 57 seconds left in the penalty for the Quebec Nordiques. Slager nearing the 3-minute mark of the opening period. Walter, Chabot, and Nyland. They get the draw back to the line. Chelios and Robinson, the 2 defensemen. Chelios in back of the net as Walter into the corner. Chabot taking a look, waiting, looking back to the blue line. Chelios winds up, shot. That's blocked by Bouchard. Canadian power play. They put the puck well inside the line and get some pretty good shots.
Well, pretty good save by Bouchard that time. The puck did change direction fairly well out, mind you, and he went with it and made the glove grab. Chris Chelios, right off the bat, you know, when he came to the Canadiens and started to play after being in the Olympics at Sarajevo, they put him right out on the power play to begin with. He's been there ever since. They showed a lot of confidence in that young man.
You notice he has the patience to wait. Try to spring somebody loose. If not, he'll take a step or 2 toward the net and let her go as he did that time. He's playing the right point with Robinson. Chelios is 24. Chabot will come in. Walter goes out. They line up for the draw. Nordiques get him this time. And Marois finds the opening easily. Down the ice it goes. 30 seconds left in the penalty to Slager. No score in the first period. Canadiens starting up on the power play. Robinson down the right side. Stopped near center. Now played it in. Went by Chelios. Chelios took a bump from Marois. Marois again cleared it down the ice. Penny will come out of the net this time as Savard was up there. There is Penny feeding it into the corner for Robinson. 5 seconds now left of the power play. So it'll be over by the time the Canadiens get it up to center. Now it is over. And Robinson played it ahead. Walter is coming in. He's up into the shot. From this angle by Chabot is wide. The Nordiques coming back. Slager in. Slager stopping. Puck comes to the doorstep from Steve Penny. A penalty coming up against the Canadiens. Dore at the blue line, stalling for some time. Bouchard is on the bench, but Nyland will touch it. And the play is called. The penalty down to Montreal.
So the Canadiens go nowhere on their first power play attempt. Now the Nordiques will be a man to the good.
CN is not simply a railway with other interests. It is a group of companies responsible for some of Canada's essential services. Each one of the CN group of companies is accountable for its own results. Accountability makes for good management. Good management means better service. And that's good business for all of us. CN, in business for Canada.
Well, the man, Mickey, that they said was the outstanding player on the ice last night, Larry Robinson, gets a cross-checking call at 3:54 here in this scoreless first period. There it is, right in the goal crease.
Quebec putting a bit of pressure on Robinson with that devastating check last night on Anton Stastny. Looked like the Larry Robinson of old.
Anton Stastny now on for the first time in this game. Slager in back of the net. Anton Stastny is knocked to the ice in front of the goal by Gainey. Play goes right on and the Canadiens come out. Urbano turning to come back, killing a few seconds there in that play. Canadiens now will shoot it down the ice. No score. Montreal and Quebec. 1:30 left. In the Canadiens penalty to Larry Robinson. The Nordiques starting in. Sauvé will bring it across the line. Slager is offside. And that nullifies that rush.
Well, there is Peter Stastny, number 26, 46 goals this past year. He has over 100 points in the 4 years that he has played with the Nordiques. And as you can see in playoff competition, he is averaging well over a point a game.
Thanks to his good series against Buffalo.
That was his career, Bob.
In this series, Canadiens have him tied up and handled very well. Sauvé knocked it in over the line, and Neymar has to come back again. Shoots it in. Here comes Hamel into the corner. Hamel tried to clear it out. Naslund couldn't move it. Canadiens get it up to center again. A minute and 5 seconds left in the Robinson penalty. No score. First period. The Forum in Montreal. Canadiens could take a commanding lead in the series with a win tonight. Back is Ludwig, and that's icing against Quebec. That's not their style.
Well, there's young Sauvé, who has been a key man in the Quebec power play, the former Buffalo Sabre. But, Mickey, after the game last night, Bob Gainey was telling people when they asked him about the success the Canadiens have had killing penalties in this series so far, he said mainly it was positional play.
Well, they forced Quebec on that play right there. Carbonneau's done such a great job, as the defense in front of Steve Penny. They blocked a lot of shots, but they're forcing the Nordiques. In that case, they forced Marois back inside and then forced him on an icing call, but certainly they played very well, averaging 92% killing penalties, Montreal.
Carbonneau on there again with Gainey. Two great penalty killers in this series. Penny out of the net. It comes to the blue line, and the Canadiens get away with that one and come down. Gainey going in. Shot! And he missed by a couple of feet on the far side. Carbonneau again in good position with 25 seconds left. And the penalty to Larry Robinson. Canadiens doing a pretty good job. Nordiques unable to get a shot. Gave it away that time. Up to center, Hunter tipped it in, over the glass, into the crowd, and Robinson has but 15 seconds left to serve.
Well, here in Montreal this year, Guy Carbonneau was winner of the Molson Cup competition for being named as one of the 3 stars the most times all year. Well deserved, I think, Vic, when you look at the Canadiens from the standpoint of their entire season.
Well, he's not only a guy that can get you 15 to 20, 25 goals a year, but he kills penalties all year long, and as we mentioned, has done such a great job out here. And he himself has got half this Nordic team upset at him. I'll tell you what, they're all taking shots at him, and it's costing the Quebec team football.
Marois and Lapointe on the Quebec defense. Robinson standing up over there, ready to jump on. The Canadiens shoot it down the ice again. Now Robinson is on the ice. The penalty is over at the 6-minute mark of the first period, and there is no score. Naslund backing up. He's on with Carbonneau and Tremblay. The Nordiques, Peter Stastny with Anton and Marion Stastny. That is Peter going in. Ludwig, sidestep Peter Stastny. It comes out near the line. Canadiens can't move it out. Carbonneau gets another chance and gets it ahead to Tremblay. In with Naslund. Naslund coming in. Naslund going for the net. Just a little too far. He could get a shot away. Nordiques picking it up, clearing it to the middle. Anton Stastny was caught by Ludwig. They're offside at the Canadian blue line.
Still no score. Here in the first period. Stanley Cup 84 resumes in just a moment.
Good
Goodbye, Dan.
Hello, Joe.
Chola Billy.
Bowl of chili.
Bill Dickel.
Dale Pickle.
And a model of Bolson Goldman.
Gottle Bolson Mogan.
Mulgan Golson.
Golson Mogan.
Molson Golson.
Moslin Golson.
The smooth one.
Ah, Golson Bolden.
Molson Golden. Smooth no matter how you say it.
Golson Mogan.
Bob Cole with Nicky Redmond and Dick Irvin in the booth at the Forum in Montreal. There is no score, and they're nearing the 7-minute mark of the opening period. Quebec desperately needing a win tonight. They'd like to go back home even for the next game on Wednesday in Quebec City. Doré has to hustle back. Turnbull is in there after him. Turnbull has the puck on the board. Robinson couldn't keep it in. It was knocked to center ice by Louis Slager. Robinson took a light bump over there. Got rid of it. Now Robinson again. Drops it back deep in his own zone. Chelios fading in behind the net and lining it up. Cote and Slager are on there with Savard. They're in for checking. Bergeron has 3 of his forwards inside the line. For checking on that play. And icing is called against Montreal.
Canadians have had 2 shots on goal. The Nordiques have not had any. But they have changed their style a little bit, Mick, because it's the Nordiques who are looking like a hard checking team at times in this early going.
Well, Michel Bergeron told us before the hockey game that he wasn't concerned that they only had 17 shots on goal. They keep statistics other than just the shots that go between the pipes and are stopped by the goaltender. And the Quebec team had about 40 shots directed at the net, but unfortunately for them, a lot of them were blocked by guys like Carbonneau at Montreal defense. So he said, we're just going to try to do the same thing, only a little better tonight.
Here's a shot now by Moeller. That was blocked by Gainey. Gainey tipped it to center, twice to Moeller again. Across center to Peter Stastny. Yes, Gainey watching him. Go back with it. Moeller to Price. Price back for Moeller. Goulet tipped it back to him. Raymond missed the pass. Havel took a swing at it. He missed it. And Gainey turning around. Gainey picking his way to the far side. Backhands it in off the board. Now at the 8-minute mark of the opening period. No score yet in the game. A lead pass. Raymond coming in. He has room for a shot. Picked away by Penny. That's his first stop, and it was a pretty good one. Back of the net. Raymond again, and he's bumped in there by Havel. Canadians starting up. Goulet hit Walter on the board. Now it's chucked in by LaPointe. He got away from Nyland, who tried to line him up. Starting to lay it on again now. The body, that is. Another check thrown by McKechnie inside the line. Marois stopped by Green. Sauvé took Marois' pass and retook it from him. Naslund is back. Now LaPointe. Back for Marois. Marois from center. Painted ahead. Good play. Sauvé shot. Beautiful save by Steve Penny. What a great save that was by Penny. A dandy. It might have been 1-0 Quebec right there. That was a big save. A good shot. Lafleur is knocked down by LaPointe. And icing is called against Montreal.
Well, Lafleur dumped up at the blue line of Quebec. The fans hollering for a penalty here, but boy, you had it on the head, Bob. Sauvé, who's been the best Quebec player in the first 3 games, got a super scoring chance. And Penny, I don't know if the pad or the goal stick, it was labeled inside that right post, just got a piece of it.
Canadians have found themselves a goaltender, Dick. And this young man.
You know, his playoff record is incredible as you look at that again from a high angle. You saw his regular season record, no wins in 4 starts. In the playoffs, it's been quite another story.
No score. Coming up to the halfway mark in the opening period, Ludwig with Tremblay, Carbonneau, and Gainey moving down. That is Gainey. Can't get there ahead of Doré. Peter Stastny is bumped. Carbonneau fell. Tremblay shot it. Stopped by Bouchard. Westing on the ice. Given a jolt by Carbonneau. Canadians forechecking now. Ludwig keeping it in. Carbonneau back to the net. Centered it. Gainey missed it. Robinson at the blue line. And it just barely came out over the line. Robinson
question, it bounced up and off Larry's leg, which was outside the blue line. Once again, the linesman doing a super job, being right on top of the play. Watch this thing bounce. You see, Robinson's leg is outside the line, and that's why it looked onside, but it wasn't. And Ron Finn made a good call.
Ron Finn working his 133rd career playoff game. A lot of pressure games. Slager now starting away through the middle. A little bit of room there for him. Slager coming in. And it's batted back out by Chelios. Now they've hit the halfway mark of the opening period, and we have no score in the game. The Nordiques starting up. Bowlers pass to center ice. Savard on the move with Slager. Dumped the high one in on the board. Chelios in first. Mark Hunter was knocked to the ice by Slager, and the play is called as Hunter fell on the puck.
In major centers all across Canada, business travelers are discovering Holiday Inn hotels are a better place to be.
Capital Center. It's Brian McFarland. The game 4 of the series between the Islanders and the Capitals. Scoreless here with 8:32 to play, first period. The Caps have had the momentum going, and they've had an advantage. Now let's go back to Montreal.
Here there is no score with 9:51 remaining of the opening period. The Nordiques, Payma, Peter Stastny, and Goulet from right to left. At the line, Lapointe shot. Payma was in front, but he was covered. Gainey from Robinson on the move for Montreal. Gainey coming in. He was bumped by Marois. Here comes Tremblay helping out. Marois got a piece of him. Canadiens centered it. Robinson came in quickly and nearly got a drive on the net. Nordiques coming out to center ice. Hamel to Robinson. Robinson through the middle to Gainey. That's a good play. Starts him in. Gainey backhands it into the zone and immediately goes to the Montreal bench, and Lafleur hops on. Nordiques pass in front of the goal. Lapointe slow and moving it, but he has managed to move it down across the Canadiens line. Peter Stastny got it back. Now Dore, with 9 minutes to play in the period, shoots it in. Robinson back. He and Hamel are the two defensemen. Here is Guy Lafleur coming up to center. Went through the skates of Mondu. McPhee on the other wing for Montreal. Mondu spun around, and Wesley took one near the line and stepped in. Mondu to Lafleur in front of the net. Scooped up by Dan Bouchard.
That went off the Quebec players standing in front. Perhaps it was Dale Hunter on the Mondu centering pass from the corner.
That was a good example there of what Montreal's forechecking is forcing the Nordiques to do. They had complete control of the puck. Wesley behind it. Eddie dumped it around the boards to Hunter. And for some reason, Hunter couldn't play it. It bounced off his skate. And the next thing you know, Canadiens have got a scoring chance.
Canadiens making the final change here at home. And it's Mark Hunter, Bobby Smith, and Turnbull. Ludwig and Chelios now on the defense for Montreal. Savard got the draw. Wesley and Dore, the Quebec two defensemen. Slager on the right side. And Cote on the left. Slager fired it in. Bounces on the boards and back to the net. And he stopped it for Chelios, who was immediately knocked to the ice. Nordiques in forechecking now and using the body again inside the Canadian blue line. They got the puck loose. Slager got away from Ludwig. And it's cleared out. Smith dropped it on the left side. Turnbull got away from that check. Smith is nailed. And a penalty coming up against the Quebec Nordiques. Turnbull and Cote have a few words.
There's Mark Hunter and Andre Dore tussled briefly behind the Quebec net. What a shot Cote took at Bobby Smith. Bergeron knows his team is about to play shorthanded for the second time in the period.
I didn't see how far Cote came to make that hit, Dick. It looked like a fair check. There was no high sticking or anything on it. It may be a charging call, is it, or an elbow?
Couldn't tell from that replay. You saw briefly there the collision behind, but here it comes. There.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's a good angle of it. Dick enough looks at it and tell you why.
Good angle of a good elbow.
Next penalty, number 19, Ale Cote. 2 minutes for elbowing at 11 minutes and 53 seconds.
So there's the time of the penalty, 11:53. Cote elbowing. Again, the Canadians won the power play. Brian Walter, Naslund, Nyland, Lafleur, and Chelios. Here's Walter. Back to Naslund. Naslund from the corner. Naslund to the line. Lafleur on the boards with it. The Nordiques, Hunter. Got it out to center. Lafleur tapped it back. Chelios to Walter. Coming in with Nyland. Walter carrying on. Bumped by Hema. Chelios kept it in, but Place will clear it down the ice. Lafleur was backing up and waiting for that play. So Lafleur now goes all the way back. Minute and a half left in the Quebec penalty. Lafleur getting it ahead. Chelios is stopped. Tries it again against McKechnie. Forced back by McKechnie. A good skater for Quebec. McKechnie landed an Naslund on the boards. Just below it. Savard trying to fire it out. Can't do it. Chelios, the shot. Low drive. Didn't miss by very much. Lafleur stopping it in the center ice area. A minute left in the penalty. Naslund broke his stick. A break now for Savard. McKechnie racing for the net, and Bobby Smith swept it away before he could make a play. Moeller stopped it, then lost it. Lafleur's breaking to center. He has the puck. Lafleur dropped it. Nyland, and he missed the net. Yet Bouchard going the other way. Bobby Smith back to Lafleur. Lafleur along the blue line, waiting. Got it back from Robinson. Through Robinson skates now. Nyland couldn't center it. Bouchard is out of the net. It comes off the boards out across the line with 20 seconds left in the penalty. Robinson picking his way in. Good play. Shot. A high one. Wide. Canadians not accurate so far with their drives from 30 and 40 feet out. 7 seconds left. The Quebec penalty. Will Payman, one man back. And a good pick save by Steve Penny. The penalty is over now. Bobby Smith coming in with Mark Hunter. Here is Hunter. He is stopped by Wesley. Smith has it again. Centers it. And Will Payman for Quebec to center. Cote and Savard missed the pass. 5:50 to play in the period. Savard bumped Robinson. A shot. That hit the outside of the post. Penny covering up on the short side. Marion Stastny turned his back on the play. Didn't see the pass. He and Ludwig bump. And Ludwig throwing punches at Marion Stastny. Here she goes.
Well, it'll be interesting, fellas, to see the call on this. Stastny, I don't think, even got his gloves off, and Ludwig started hammering at him.
But how about those who joined in, Mickey?
Well, that's another one. I mean, first man in an altercation, if there are 5 minutes to each player, is out of the game. Discretion of the referee, but whether he'll call that an altercation by two players, we'll have to wait and see, because Stastny really just went down to the ice, Marion Stastny, and Ludwig was flailing away on him. Marion Stastny still with his glove and stick in his hand.
So, penalties about to be assessed. Still no score.
Have you ever noticed that sometimes the best you can do is settle for second best? Now you won't have to with the new R-Series riding mower from John Deere. You see, they don't cost more than ordinary riders, but they're built with extraordinary features and first-class John Deere quality. So now, for the price of someone else's mower, you can have one of ours.
Down-to-earth values on now at participating John Deere dealers.
here at the Cap Center in Landover, Maryland, was scoreless with 3:40 to play, first period, as Sutter turns back for the Islanders, spins one into the corner, and Mike Gartner, number 11, goes back for it. The edge has gone to Washington here. They've outshot the Islanders 7-1. And now, back to Montreal.
Back in Montreal. Bob, maybe you can run down the penalties with 4 minutes to Ludwig, 2 to Stastny.
And the time of the penalties here in the first period, 14:25. Ludwig, a double minor for roughing, and Marion Stastny drew a high sticking penalty, 2 minutes. So the Nordiques have a chance now. Out of the net, Penny on the board. Sauve didn't stop it. It's Ryan Walter with Green catching up. So is Naslund. Walter gets set. Took a shot. Oh, that's as harmless a shot as you might want to see. Walter didn't know what to do. He turned, and you see this here.
I don't know if this puck was deflected or not. There's no question Bouchard had no chance on the play. There were 3 bodies in front of him, and that thing followed a straight line right between Bouchard's legs and in the net. Was that Green in front of the net?
Hard to say. Was it Naslund was involved as well?
There goes Green. Green went right through the picture there and headed from the front of the net. There's a look at it from behind now.
Good eye, Mick.
It was Green, I think, that touched it.
11, Ryan Walter. Avec l'aide du numéro 26, assisted by number 26, Mats Neslund. Et du numéro 37 and number 37, Steve Penny.
Penny got an assist on the goal along with Naslund. Walter, as they're playing 5 aside, 14:45, the time of the goal, and the Canadiens take the lead, 1-0. So Price going back in his own zone. 11-10. Left of the penalty to Marion Stastny. Then the Nordiques will go on the man advantage. Bowler going in the corner. Bennett in behind the net. There goes Hamel, and there goes Price. Price got a stick on it, but Carbonneau gave it away. And another penalty coming up against Quebec now. Robinson coming out. Penny racing to the Canadian bench. But the Nordiques Marois has it, and here's the penalty call against the Nordiques.
Stastny looks like another elbowing call. Live on CBC. This is Stanley Cup 84.
Something before dinner, sir.
I'd like half a bottle of Golden.
A half bottle, sir?
Of Molson Golden.
Howard, you won't believe this, but there's some weirdo over there who wants a half bottle of Golden. And this gentleman would like the other half. Sir, would you like the top half or the bottom half?
You're smooth, son. Smooth as golden.
Peter Stastny, an elbowing penalty here at 15:39. That will take away any power play opportunity the Nordiques would have had. Play underway again. Robinson coming back for it. The Canadiens with the extra skater on and over the line. Robinson waits at the blue line. It comes back to Chelios, and he couldn't keep it in. Robinson again, backing up against Dale Hunter. Robinson circling. A soft pass to the right side. Chelios brings it in. Mondu in front of the net. Robinson gets set, and that's gloved by Bouchard. And the goaltender hangs on to it. Marion Stastny will be on 13 seconds from now.
Well, Ludwig still with 2:13 to go on his penalty. And when Marion Stastny does return, that'll make things even. 4 skaters aside. Right there, a good look at the penalty. Again, Stastny taking after Guy Carbonneau. Bouchard, a good stop on Larry Robinson. This 4-on-3 advantage for Montreal. 13 seconds to go.
And the draw comes all the way back to center ice. Chabot just whipped it back. Nobody could stop it. There's Chabot coming in with McPhee. Chabot gets ready. Chabot near the line. Waiting. Played it in the slot. Chelios! And he was stopped. Marion Stastny is on the ice. He's ahead of the play. The puck goes into Marois. Marois feeds it in front, and Penny kicked it away very coolly. Chabot to Robinson. Coming out. Robinson to center ice. They're 5 aside now. It's 1-0 Montreal, and the Nordiques get it away to center. Marion Stastny coming in, and he's behind by Robinson. Savard! Hit shot, stopped by Penny. In back of the net, Robinson hooked it out with his hand. He had lost his stick, and Robinson gets a big hand again.
Well, Robinson with another good body check. Robinson without his stick, a 2-on-1 really for the Nordiques. And he belts Marion Stastny. Savard takes over from there. And then the hand pass to stop the play as Robinson gets a new stick. 35 seconds to go on Peter Stastny's penalty. And still 1:21 to Ludwig, so Quebec will have the odd man.
So the face-off coming up to the right of Penny. With 2:56 to play in the period, and the Canadiens leading 1-0. On the goal by Ryan Walter. Naslund and Penny, the goaltender, getting in on it at 14:45. 35 seconds from now, Peter Stastny will be out of the penalty box. And the Nordiques on the power play. There's the shot. Scramble in front, and Naslund takes it away. He has Walter with him. Naslund decides to rank it a bit. Got it back to his own line to Hamel. On the other side to Rick Green. He had to hurry it up to center. Naslund picked it off, and he's going in again. Naslund racking the puck, doing a good job. Now he gives it away to Payman. He dropped it back. 8 seconds from now, Peter Stastny will be on the ice again. And the Canadiens now will just kill a few seconds going back, and then they shoot it out across the line to center. Peter Stastny is on the ice, and Quebec, trailing Canadiens 1-0, now have the man advantage. Payman coming in, lifts a high one, up over Penny and behind the net. Rick Green and Gainey. They do not clear it out. It hit the side of the net, and Penny takes no chances again, as the Canadiens were a bit weak moving it out, and he grabbed it. Now they'll have a face-off in the zone. Quebec has outshot Montreal 7-4 up to this point. Make that 8-4.
Well, the Nordiques certainly have not laid back here and let the Canadian bumping go by the wayside. They have handled themselves pretty well. There is the Rocket Richard sitting behind the Montreal bench. Very distinguished looking.
Leaving just a little bit of gray. His wife likes it. What a story right there in this building. You think he didn't electrify this place a few times? Here's his shot. The Nordiques. The man advantage, Sauvé. Anton Stastny back to him. Another shot. And he had to move quickly. I think that one just barely missed the post. Sauvé again. Scramble. Play is called. And the play was called in behind. Penny was down. Hamel was down. Robinson was down. Peter Stastny was down. And Brian Lewis lost sight of the puck.
Well, the Nordic with some good puck control here on the power play. I don't think Penny saw that one. Whether it hit him or not, I couldn't tell. There was such a pileup in front. Players scrambling everywhere, and Sauvé just jammed it through the middle. Bob Gainey out there killing penalties. He has played very, very well in the playoffs. There's a shot by Sauvé, and look at that pileup in front. Sauvé does quite a job for this Nordic team on the power play. Little guy. Here's that loose puck that Brian Lewis lost sight of, and when that happens, they blow the whistle right away. Don't take any chances with that loose puck around the net.
Only 7 seconds left in the penalty now to Ludwig of Montreal. Nordiques on this power play. They lose the draw, and Robinson immediately shoots it down the ice. Ludwig will be on in 1 second. Now he's on the ice. The penalty over. A minute and a half left in the period. 1-0 Canadiens. Nordiques stop at center. Now Goulet bringing it in. Goulet in against Neely, who gives him a ride on the boards in there. Goulet cannot get it loose, and the referee again calls the play, so a face-off again coming up in the Canadian zone.
Oh, I do enjoy an evening with a little light entertainment. But when your video heads get dirty, you lose your picture. Not a pretty sight. Happily, this new Polaroid video cassette will rescue you. It actually cleans your heads as it plays, so dirty heads needn't haunt you. New Polaroid video cassettes. Get the picture?
1:20 to play in the opening period. Hunter, Goulet, Paiement, Moeller, and Price for Quebec. Canadiens the only goal so far. Ryan Walter. Green back of the goal. Into the corner with it to Walter. By Gainey down the ice. Moeller coming back. Icing waved off and didn't reach the goal line. Now Paiement looks for somebody open and cannot find him. Naslund blocked the pass. A minute left in the period. Nordiques trailing the Canadiens 2-1 in the series, 1-0 in this first period. They're offside over there at the Quebec blue line. And now 52 seconds remaining.
Jacques Lemaire behind that Montreal bench. Boy, he has done quite a job with this hockey club, taking over late in the season. Completely changed their style of play. He's getting more out of each individual. And certainly we saw all season long, and boy, that's a sign of a good playoff team.
Bobby Smith thrown out. Turnbull now against Savard. Canadiens control on the draw. It's cleared in by Mark Hunter. Back of the net goes Dore. He played it down the ice off the boards. Swobe icing. Ludwig in. Icing called against Quebec. So 2 icings in a row. 29 seconds to play. And the Canadiens want to go to the room with that 1-goal lead. Naturally, Quebec would love to tie it.
Andre Savard, one of the players involved in that deal with Buffalo for Real Cloutier. His 11th season as a pro. 7 years with the Buffalo Sabres. A false start down there to the rated Daniel Bouchard, but that turned out, Bob, to be quite a deal. Little J.F. Sauvé, Tony McKechnie, Andre Savard for first draft choice, and Real Cloutier, and certainly Michel Bergeron has got to be happy with that deal.
Smith on this occasion against Savard on the draw with 38 seconds to play in the period. Again, Smith is thrown out. They do not line up properly. The linesman will warn them once, maybe twice, and then throw them out. There's Leon Stickle, the other linesman now, moving them back. Now they finally get it underway and goes to Dore to the side of the net. The Quebec player was upended. He tripped really over the stick of Hunter, walked right on it, and fell. So 30 seconds in this period, just slowly winding down. And I mean slowly, not a lot of happening so far in the last minute of play. I guess, Mickey, the Nordiques feel with the puck in their own zone on these 2-3 face-offs in a row, what they're concerned about is controlling the face-off and not giving the Canadiens a 2-0 lead.
Well, that's it.
Going to the room.
Canadiens have just been unbelievable getting in front of teams in the playoffs. It's worked out well for them, but I'll tell you what, this whole series could be in this hockey game tonight. You mentioned, Bob, off the top, 3-1 Montreal would be a tough lead to overcome for the Nordiques, even going home for Game 5. But if it turns the other way tonight, it's a brand new series, as they say.
Mark Hunter for Canadiens against Paiement. Here comes Ludwig. Fired a high pass. Bobby Smith made contact all right, but it went over the glass into the crowd. And speaking of a crowd, there's quite a few around the goaltender, Dan Bouchard, now. pushing and shoving. The referee, the two linesmen are in quickly, and they'll bring it outside the line this time, I think, with 26 seconds left in the period. Canadians lead 1-0.
Mark Hunter, of course, one of the 3 Hunter brothers involved in the playoffs. Dale with the Nordiques and Dave with the Edmonton Oilers. Mark Hunter not playing a full season, had a knee injury problems, and he has played well for Jacques Lemaire in these playoffs. Hunter playing in just 22 games for Montreal during the regular season.
Now they're set. Peter Stastny with a draw back inside the line to Price. He ripped it on the boards up to the Canadiens line. Montreal shooting it back in. Bouchard down to one knee covering up. 15 seconds left in the period. Bouchard out of the net. Robinson snubbed it, took a shot. The Nordiques were quite sloppy in their own end. Bouchard came out of the net, and he tried to clear it, and there was Robinson.
Oh, that's one of those bad giveaways in your own zone with less than 20 seconds to go in the period. That puck, I believe, was deflected by Guy Carbonneau. We'll find out for sure on the announcement. Again, Bouchard, no chance on the play, but the key there is Quebec had control of the puck with just seconds to go, and boy, that is a costly one.
21.
Carbonneau got the goal from Robinson at 1950. And it's 2-0 Montreal. 2 seconds left in the period. There's the siren. And the first period is over. That second goal again. Carbonneau is second of the playoff from Robinson at 1950. Ryan Walter from Naslund and Penny at 14:45. The shots on goal by Quebec 10. And by the Canadiens 5. And the score is 2-0 Montreal. Not many things more exciting than the Stanley Cup playoffs. Stay with us for our first intermission.
The largest carpet event of the year is on right now. Advanced Floor and Wall Covering presents the 4th annual Big Arena Carpet Sale. Save from 35 to 75% on over $1 million worth of carpeting by major manufacturers like Burlington, Coronet, and Peerless. Save on carpet remnants, starting as low as $5 each. For values never to be repeated, Advanced Floor and Wall Covering's Big Arena Carpet Sale is on right now at the Riverside Arena.
Under $1?
Yep.
Less than $1?
You've got it.
Ah, McDonald's.
How about an Egg McMuffin for 99 cents? Or our new Sausage McMuffin with egg for 99 cents? Well, now at McDonald's, you've got it. Or any of these other good breakfast entrees, all for under $1.
What a choice. What a deal.
Breakfast.
How about that?
McDonald's and you. How about same time tomorrow?
As you remember, class, last week's Lotto 649 lesson on preparing for the big win, we covered Palm Beach, Platinum, and Polo. Today's Lotto 649 lesson is on going home. Home, James.
Home, James.
Home, James.
Home, James.
Home,
James.
No. Home, James.
Home, James. Lotto 649, exceptionally attractive prizes, $1 the ticket.
Will you be ready?
Montreal, the Canadiens have a 2-0 lead over the Quebec Nordiques on goals by Ryan Walter and by Guy Carbonneau with just 10 seconds left in the first period. And joining me in our intermission studio right now, the young man who I thought was the second best defenseman on the ice last night after Larry Robinson in Game 3, Pat Price. And Pat, I guess you'd like to have that last minute, those last 30 seconds back again. It's got to be a downer for you.
Well, you know, the last minute of play, the last 5 minutes of play, nothing should happen like that. You try to keep the puck on the boards and keep a man on their defenseman. And it seemed to me like he had a lot of time to wind up and shoot, so I don't know what happened there. You know, you got to be extra careful when Larry's on the ice because he makes so many things happen, and it just looks to me like he had too much time.
The game started in rather vigorous fashion. I thought particularly by you fellas. Was there a bit of a change in game plan from a physical standpoint?
Well, yeah, we had to get the puck in, and because we had a feeble effort last night as far as getting shots on net, so the only way you can do that is to dump the puck in and chase and bump and grind, and so we started off that way. That's our game plan. It's going to continue to be our game plan. We took a couple bad penalties, but that's going to happen when it's physical like that.
But is it really the style of the Quebec Nordiques, Pat? You're one of the highest scoring teams in the league.
Well, you know, we have to get the puck into their end somehow. So but we haven't been able to do it with the crisscrossing and all that malarkey. So we got to do it, go back to the basics, and that's basic North American hockey right there. So we got to get it in, and we got guys like Slager and Cote and a few of the other guys digging and mucking.
All right, you're playing against them. Let me ask you a question that hockey fans all over the East in particular are asking. What's different about the Montreal Canadiens? Because they seem like a different hockey club.
Well, number one is Penny. He's given them a lot of confidence. He's by far their biggest asset at this point in time. He's making the key saves in the key situations, and they're coming back. He's giving them life, and he's giving them a lot of hope. As opposed to him, before they had him, they'd get a bad goal, and that really gets a team down when you get a bad goal scored on you. And they haven't been getting down on themselves because they know that he's going to stop the puck. So he's their number one asset. Plus, they've all sort of come together as a unit. They're playing a good style. They're playing the 1984 Montreal Canadiens style as opposed to what the 1970s were, wheeling with the puck. They don't have the defenseman back there like Lapointe or Savard or Larry when he was lugging the biscuit. And so they're going with 5-6 defensemen, and they're just headmanning the puck and letting the forwards play their style.
Just very briefly, then, Pat, you fellas, a high-scoring team, have scored 1 goal in your last 7 periods, 2 goals in your last 7 periods in this series. That's got to be the big problem.
Well, you're not going to win unless you score, right. And they're cutting us down. They're proving that good defense wins hockey games in the playoffs. And it's a puzzle, it's a riddle. We're going to have to figure it out somehow, and we're just going to keep mucking and grinding and hope to get back in the game and make it, and win this one.
Okay, Pat, thank you very much. Pat Price of the Quebec Nordiques guesting with us here in this first intermission. It's a 2-0 hockey game with the Canadiens in the lead after one. Stay with us. We'll have more on our first intermission in just a moment.
Name, Elena Andropoulos. Born, Athens. Residences, Corfu, Rome, Acapulco. Weaknesses, clothes, champagne, truffles, and trifle. Has the world's largest collection of parking tickets. Her watch, a Citizen Quartz. Slim, sophisticated, sculptured. Guaranteed for 2 years. Citizen Quartz, for citizens of the world.
Good news comes in small packages, Escort and Lynx. Now buy a special package of options and get automatic transmission at no extra cost. Or take your choice of a second option package and get 5-speed transmission and AM/FM stereo radio at no extra cost. Now buy either Escort or Lynx with a special value package and get automatic transmission at no extra cost. Or 5-speed transmission and AM/FM stereo radio at no extra cost. See your Ford or Mercury dealer for details on this Escort Lynx offer today.
You want to win a medal at the Olympics. You need coaches, training, competition. So we're funding SO Swim Canada, supporting swim clubs, encouraging skills. Now good swimmers can get better, maybe the world's best. Canada! Coming through for you makes us better too.
You make us better, you do. SO.
Buck, can you tell us what's up?
The new Winterio, Hal.
Winterio's changed?
Explosively, Hal. They've doubled the grand price to $200,000.
Some blast!
And there's 3 shots at $100,000, too.
Amazing, Buck!
Plus instant blast windfall.
Well, thanks and good luck, Buck. There you have it, the latest blast on the new Winterio. Direct from the mouth of a real blast authority.
More than ever before. More blast for a buck. Winterio.
What a blast!
It's a 2-0 hockey game here in Montreal. The Canadiens leading Quebec after 1 period. Stanley Cup update time now as we go to the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. In the first period, the Capitals and the New York Islanders. There is no score. Here is Brian McFarland.
Face-off outside the Islander blue line. Just over 3 minutes to play in the first period. Scoreless between the Islanders and the Caps. Janssen takes the puck in behind Billy Smith. Now he moves up ice with it. Pass ahead to LaFontaine. He couldn't get around Langway, so he flips it into the Washington zone. Reagan traps it there. Dave Shand, tied up by Pat LaFontaine. Shand still has the puck somehow, gets it over to Carpenter. His shot taken by Smith. LaFontaine turns, goes in behind his goal area. Over to Janssen. And let's see if Janssen can bring it up. LaFontaine is spilled. Janssen all alone there. 3 Caps surrounding him. Janssen keeps possession, moves in over the line now. Feeds LaFontaine. No, it's Keller out there now. Keller right in front. And he couldn't get a shot. Now he turns again. That shot is blocked by Langway. Keller continues. Look, he's going in all alone. Tried to slip it through the pads, and Riggin held his ground. Pile up in behind the net, but Keller had a couple of excellent scoring chances. With 1:47 to play, first period, scoreless here at the Capitol Center. 45 seconds left in the penalty times to Trottier, Gilbert, Stevens, and Jarvis. Anders Keller, we see on the replay, coming right in front of Riggin and couldn't keep control of the puck, but he got a second chance, slipping it through the legs of Shan and going all alone in on Riggin, and then thought he had a hole through the legs, couldn't find it. Five minors to the Islanders in this period and 2 to Washington. Keller stays out there, number 28, along with Potvin.
Pat Price was just saying goaltending so important at playoff time, and down in Washington, the goaltenders so far have been perfect. Steve Penny likewise here in Montreal. 2-0, the Canadiens leading the Nordiques. We'll be back to Washington more in our Stanley Cup update when our first period coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs continues in just a moment.
So you want to work for Midas, huh? Here you're fast.
Fastest there is.
Can you prove it?
Sure, Chief. Whose car?
Mine, hotshot.
Fast enough for you, Chief?
Fast and loose.
Huh?
Just not good enough for the Midas guarantee.
At Midas first you get good, then you get fast.
You are number 1 on my list. That's what our customers tell us.
When CN says we're in business for Canada, we mean the whole country. In the West, for example, CN has begun doubling its main track. Where there is a single line now, there will be 2. Why? Because more efficient transportation of grain and other exports benefits every Canadian and helps to build a truly national economy. CN, in business for Canada.
Ever notice how often cowboys crop up in advertising for jeans? I guess the theory is cowboys needed tough, rugged jeans. It makes sense to me, but when you live in the city, herding cattle isn't really a top priority. So I think I'll stick with GWG. They fit good, they look good. And isn't that what's important in a pair of jeans? Of course, just on the off chance that I'm wrong. Whoa, boy. Easy, big fella.
GWG, good jeans, real jeans. Molson Canadian. Taste that'll stop you cold.
Hockey Night in Canada continues the road to the Stanley Cup this Wednesday with more playoff coverage on CBC. The Adams Division Final returns to Quebec City for Game 5 between the surprising Montreal Canadiens and the Quebec Nordiques. And from the Nassau County Coliseum on Long Island, our update game will feature the Washington Capitals battling the defending champion Islanders in Game 5 of the Patrick Division Final. Wednesday night on CBC, Montreal at Quebec, and update action from Long Island at 7:30 Eastern Time. And the beat goes on here on Hockey Night in Canada. 2-0 for the Canadiens over the Nordiques after 1. We are going back to the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. Late in the first period, no score between the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders. Again, Brian McFarland.
And Stephen Pearson. Turning for the Washington Capitals, number 19, Peter Anderson. Over to Larry Murphy. Murphy lugs it up center, gets at the center ice red line and gets beyond. Now he turns. Decides to come in alone again. Turns up again. Look out, he's going to lose possession if he's not careful. And Anderson takes it at the line. Caps a little hesitant with their play here. A little cautious, unlike some of the games we've seen earlier. And now Butch Goring for the Islanders. 5 seconds left in the penalty times. We'll see a bunch of players scramble back on the ice. Here they come. And both clubs back at full strength with 57 seconds on the clock. First period and scoreless. To Gilbert. Gilbert's got Trottier with him. Goring goes for a rest. Mike Gartner steals the puck away from Gilbert. Here's a shot by Boudelier. A screen shot. Riggin doesn't know. It's in. They score. 19, Trottier took the shot from Boudelier and got it in behind Riggin. 1-0 Islanders. The Islanders were making a change. Goring was going off. There's the shot from Boudelier. And Trottier got in behind the goaltender and was right there to put it in the net. Brian Trottier scores the first goal of the hockey game, his 4th of the playoffs, as they let him loose in behind young Riggin. So a goal late in the first period gives the Islanders the lead in the hockey game. 30 seconds to play now in the period. 1-0 Islanders on Trottier's 4th playoff goal. So some hesitant work by the Washington Capitals in the center ice zone probably paved the way for that goal. At center, Trottier with it again. Couldn't find Gilbert with the pass. Coming back for it is Curry with 7 seconds left. In come the Caps. Franciscetti is bowled over. And that'll do it for the first period. The score at the end of the first 20 minutes then. The New York Islanders 1. The Washington Capitals 0.
There are some people here in this building tonight who saw the game in Washington last night, and they all say that Billy Smith simply broke the hearts of the Washington Capitals with a tremendous goaltending display again. So that, as you mentioned off the top of the show, a very familiar story. Obviously, he is sharp again, and the Islanders on the Trottier goal have the 1-0 lead at the end of the first period. The game in St. Louis is just underway between the Blues and the Minnesota North Stars. We'll give you a scoring report when we receive them, and about an hour from now, they'll be underway in Calgary, the Flames and the Edmonton Oilers. Teams returning to the ice here for the second period. Let's go upstairs again. Bob Cole and Mickey Redmond.
Thank you, Dick, and indeed, the teams are back on for the start of the second period. The Nordiques defending the goal to our right this time. The Canadiens down at the other end to our left. And the Habs leading it 2-0 as they get set to start the second period. Walter and Carbonneau were the marksmen. Penny got in on the Walter goal. He and Naslund assisted at 14:45. Robinson from the blue line took a shot. Carbonneau in front of the net tipped it in with only 10 seconds left in that first period. 2-0 Montreal.
I'm sure Michel Bergeron had a few things to say to his hockey club, Bob, after that first period. He had a bit of it going in the early stages of the period, got some scoring chances on Penny, but really cost themselves later in the period. They took a couple of bad penalties in the offensive zone. One again by Peter Stastny, and then late in the period with the giveaway that gave Canadiens that second goal.
Quebec outshot Montreal 10-5 at the first period. Savard is in rather quickly. Lapointe was dumped at center. Lapointe got back up and feed it ahead. Now Bobby Smith coming in. He put it through the legs of Lapointe. Hunter going in around the net. Tried to center it. He got it out to Smith. He's knocked down. Smith on the ice. Got back up again. Slager ripped one to center ice. Cote went in after Chelios. Goes all the way back with it. Chelios in the corner. Pretty good move. Getting away from the forechecking Nordiques. That's offside. Just outside the line. LaPointe shot it back in. He played one game, LaPointe did, in the Buffalo series, which was won by the Nordiques in 3.
Good body check by Mark Hunter on LaPointe, the guy you were talking about, Bob, over by the Quebec bench. All 3 Hunter brothers like to throw their weight around. We mentioned Mark with those bad knees the last couple of years. Boy, he's been a big addition to Jacques Lemaire Hockey Club at the end of the season and here in the playoffs.
Not as big a crowd tonight, I don't think, Mickey, as we had last night. Nearly 18,100, just short of 100. 18,097, something like that.
Looks like quite a few empty seats here tonight.
Well, it's a miserable day in Montreal. Rather chilly and rain all day, and again tonight. Robinson is back there. Hunter blocks it. It came right into the goal crease. Another shot. That one a high blast. Did you see Penny pick that one out? Here's Naslund coming in. Naslund, Nyland is in front. And the pass intercepted. Penny made a pretty good skate save there seconds ago. The puck was right in the crease area. Nordiques coming close. Savard brought it in offside again at the Canadiens line. So 2 players near center. Came on Nyland. Jawing. The linesmen are in though.
What do you call the technology that produces state-of-the-art VCRs? That brings home the distinctive blue screen diamond vision with up to 40% truer color? That developed the brightest giant screen TV on the market and the diamond collection of car stereos? The technology that delivers sophisticated home audio systems, vertical linear tracking turntables, and the remarkable digital audio disc player? The Japanese have a word for it: Mitsubishi.
Steve Penny just moments ago. I think we have it here, Mickey.
I don't know if he just kicked the save out, Bob, or whether it was a loose puck. It seemed to be just a loose puck. Boy, that was going in the net, and he kicked it right out of there and out of harm's way.
Here's Hunter slapping at it. He missed it. LaPointe at the blue line. In front it goes. Green is upended. Mondeau is away with Lafleur on the right. And McPhee on the other wing. Bouchard out of the net. Ludwig was bumped near the blue line, and LaPointe fired it on the boards. On the other wing is Berglund. He got it out to center ice and down inside the Montreal line. Canadiens leading 2-0. They're shooting it in again. That was Mondeau. Marois feeds it back. At the line, Green couldn't handle it. Now Lafleur getting set. He couldn't get a shot away. McKechnie was on him. Nordiques. Hunter coming out. Berglund on the move. He had to stop at the blue line as Hunter made that move before he hit the line. And he couldn't carry on. Wesley from the point shot. Kicked away by Larry Robinson. Doré on the ice as the Nordiques make changes quickly. Robinson again coming back. 2 minutes, 20 seconds gone in the second period. 2-0 Montreal. Both goals coming in the opening 20 minutes. Walter and Carbonneau, the marksman. Doré backhands it into the Canadian zone. Deblois back there around the net. It comes out to Tremblay on the right wing board. He is starting up. The center is Gainey. Gainey coming in. He was stopped cold at the Quebec blue line. Robinson and Chelios, the 2 defensemen for Canadiens. Tremblay. And the Nordiques cleared the center ice. Peter Stastny is turning. Chelios caught up to him. He was upended. Wesley back there for Quebec. Carbonneau chasing him on the forechecking. Out to the line. And now Peter Stastny. Knocked into the zone by Anton Stastny. Marion is over there at the blue line. Another shot. Knocked down the ice by Carbonneau. He seems to be everywhere. Blocking shot. Pete Carbonneau. Peter Stastny. Soft pass ahead. Marion gave it away to Chelios. The Nordiques unable to solve the system Montreal are using in this series. Everybody is back. They keep them on the outside. That's where most of the shots are coming from. Robinson's pass hitting Walter. Waller going in, centered it. Naslund is in on it quickly. Nyland behind the net in the corner. Against Price. Bowler against Waller. Trying to set it up for Nyland and missed it. Price for the Nordiques at the 4-minute mark of the period. Leaves the pressure a bit, shoots it down the ice. Slager went in after Hamel. Bowler up the line, kept it in, and slapped high though, and it's gone.
Tonight's game is coming to you from the Forum in Montreal.
Molson Canadian. Taste that'll stop you cold.
Dance to the music. Dance to the music.
2-0, the Canadiens lead. The Quebec Nordiques. Berglund stopped his man. A shot in front. Hunter. And he was upended by Green before he could get a stick on it. And the Canadiens led by Smith coming in. In Turnbull with Hunter. With Hamel. And the shot is blocked in front of Bouchard. 6 high in the area of the Quebec net.
The Nordic player who blocked the shot has been injured. You know, Mickey, just before that, Dale Hunter had a chance on a deflection. It was a good play by the Quebec team, but the shot didn't get through because the Canadiens are covering up so well. As we look at Maurice the Rocket Richard sitting with Canadiens President Ronald Corey tonight. There's the chance. I think it was Mario Marois. There's Rick Lapointe. So Bob Cole tells me. In any event, there is an injured Nordic. I guess he got hit where it hurts.
Canadiens with another good scoring chance. 4 inside the line, and John Hamel just wound up and let it go.
It is Marois who is the player who has been shaken up on the play. I tell you, Jean Hamel is a defensive defenseman. You know that, Mick. You play with him. He's had more scoring chances these last 2 games he had all year. This is the scene right here early in the second period at the Capitol Center. As we pick up the action, the Islanders have the 1-0 lead on the late first period goal by Brian Trottier. But a centering pass from Butch Goring to Clark Gillies, who works his way out of traffic. And on a spin-around backhand shot, beats Pat Riggin. And the Islanders, as is the case here with the Canadiens, have a 2-0 lead in that game. Marois walking it off as he gets to the Quebec bench area and going down the corridor toward the dressing room. They've played 4:26 here in the second period.
They can't afford to lose Marois. It was Marois who blocked the shot. As Nick said, is hoping to walk it off. Here's Trombley, a backhand shot. Now Dore falling in front of that. That was an easy shot to stop. Gainey into the corner. Arbonneau tried to set up Tremblay. There's Gainey again. Got it in front. We saw Tremblay, but he couldn't quite get a good shot away. Gainey again. It comes in front of the Quebec net, and 3 Quebec players come to center. Goulet brings it in. Goulet in front of goes. Dore is stopped by Ludwig. Now Larry Robinson. That's past the 5-minute mark of the period. Still 2-0 Montreal. Moeller to Price. Price to center. He'll shoot it in. Covering on that carefully was Penny. Robinson waits. Moves Goulet. And went the other way with a pass. That one too far by Carbonneau. McPhee couldn't reach it. Price. Bumped by McPhee. But Goulet for the Nordiques. Shooting it in. Penny out of the net. Stopping it for Ludwig. Ludwig got away. A pass to Lafleur, bounces to center. Lafleur overskates it now. Peter Stastny and Goulet back in. Goulet is stopped by Ludwig. Mondu dropped it back to Robinson. Ahead it goes. Ludwig to Mondu. Coming in. A great move. Another great move. Got it in front, and nobody could get a shot away. Good play by Mondu, though. Here's Bergman breaking for the net. Got it back to the line. Price didn't see that. Canadians, 3 of them. It's Walter with Lafleur. Lafleur, McPhee in front. Broken up. The Nordiques up back again. Lafleur back chucking at his very best. You saw that. He was on the rush, turned and got back. The first one back to break up the play for the Canadiens. 2-0 Montreal. They're changing again, both teams. Slept out of the zone. Marwall's on the ice again. There he is. So he's okay. Off the boards to Sauvé. Sauvé has to drop it back. Nearing the 7-minute mark of the second period. Canadiens up by 2, and Sauvé coming in with Berglund. A pass the other way to Anton Stastny. He had to hurry that pass. Green. Bumped by Berglund. Berglund falling to the ice. Hamel along the board. Up the line. It's cleared back to the corner again. Berglund in front. And that one just dribbled by the post on the stick side of Penny. Now they're laying on the body again in there. Anton Stastny running into Hamel. Great action here in the second period. The Canadiens, a 2-goal lead on the Nordiques. Tremblay is back. Turning is Gainey. There's Gainey. Gainey up the blue line. Gainey to center. Muscles his way in and fired it into the right of Bouchard. Coming up to the 8-minute mark of this second period. They're going hard both ways. This time offside is Cote.
Canadiens lead the Nordiques 2-0. Stanley Cup 84 resumes in just a moment.
Great escape kit. Thank you. But my sensors indicate a slight problem with my windshield.
Ah, time for standard auto glass.
Who else is number one in windshield replacement? And not only are they friendly and fast, they'll even send out a free mobile glass replacement unit. And every single job is guaranteed in writing.
Can't top that.
Yes, I can.
Show off.
Bob Cole, Dick Irvin, Mickey Redmond at the Forum in Montreal. They're nearing the 8-minute mark of the second period. The Canadiens are leading 2-0. And it's picked up a bit. Action-wise here in the second period. We're going all out both ways. Robinson slapped at it near the line. The Nordiques can't keep it in. Savard steals it to Cote. Robinson lines him up. Gave him a bump over there on the board. Chelios back there. Playing another strong game. That was a dangerous-looking pass, but he got it away to center ice. Cote dropped it back. Wesley played it to the right wing. Comes back to Cote again on the left side. He's in with Savard. Savard shot. Benny, that leg save. Makes it look easy.
Have played some pretty good defensive hockey in this period. Penny's made a couple of pretty good stops, but Montreal has not had a shot on goal in the second period.
Quebec's only had 3, that one being the third one right there. Penny, boy, he looks dangerous when he makes those saves. He doesn't look like he's under control, but boy, he keeps him out of that net. Now, Steve Penny, as we mentioned before in the series, had played a couple of years in Flint in the International Hockey League. Here's a look at him. He is the 12th goaltender in the National Hockey League to come out of the IHL. Notables such as Murray Vandermeer with Chicago, Pete Peters, Boston, Chico Rest, New Jersey, Joe Malash, Minnesota, and Rick Hines in St. Louis. Boy, they sure are breeding grounds for goaltenders.
Hunter, Goulet, and Payma. Price gets set. The shot is wide of the net. Hunter is in there. So is Goulet. So 2 Canadiens come in to even it up. And the puck comes out to Ludwig. To the line is Nyland. Racing in for Montreal against Price. Nyland skated out of the play. Naslund. Cooley went after the puck. In the corner, he is stopped by Moeller. And the Nordiques getting back to bring it out again. That is Paymon. Coming in with Price. Paymon trying to get around Ludwig. Didn't find too much room. And back of the Canadiens net into the other corner at the 9-minute mark of this second period. The Nordiques unable to get too many good clean shots. And Penny, Canadiens changing quickly now. Peter Stastny with Goulet. Peter Stastny, a blind pass. Carbonneau was there. Tremblay slapped it out of his own to center ice. Montreal 2, Quebec 0. The goals in the first by Walter and Carbonneau. Nordiques, Berglund, turning, shooting a high one, knocked down by Hamel. That is Marwall back. A point with him. A point starting up. Stopped again by Tremblay. Marwall will try it once more. There goes Carbonneau. Tough to pull him. He falls this time, though. Berglund couldn't move it up. Here's Digney. Shot. Glove save by Bouchard. That's Coach Paul. That's the first shot in this period. And it was a tough one on Dan Bouchard by Bob Gainey. And Bouchard under the net. Clearing it up to the line, and Anton Stastny wheeling away. Berglund on his right. Broken up by Robinson. Lost control of the puck. Man still buzzing about that check Robinson threw at Anton Stastny last night. About 24 hours ago, but I'm sure Stastny remembers it very well. Robinson into the corner. Along the boards, Anton Stastny steaming it in front. Mel blocks the shot. It's a save by Penny on Peter Stastny. Fantastic save. Ondu back. McPhee in the wing. McPhee falls to the ice. And Doré starting out. Doré gets it in front. Long lead pass. Berglund is outside. And I'll tell you, folks, Penny has been great. He robbed a goal from Peter Stastny there seconds ago.
You're a whole new generation. You're loving what they do. I put a picture in the motion, and that's choice enough for you. Hey, you're the best generation. 'Cause the diamond tastes the thrill of the game. And feel good, see when you're a whole new generation.
Well, a super stop right here, Mickey, with the blocker by Steve Penny. That angle made it look as though it was going wide, but I don't think it was. I think that puck was right on the net.
I think Robinson got a piece of it himself as he went down on the net, in front of the net, but Penny did make the stop. It was right against that goalpost, and the crowd here is starting to holler, Penny, Penny, Penny.
9:18 to play in the second period. Canadiens playing shutout hockey in front of Steve Penny. 2-0. Green from the blue line. Back of the net it goes. That is Mark Hunter. Nearly got it in front. The Nordiques will bring it out. Will Paiement on the right wing as McKechnie skates in with it. McKechnie got in close to Penny. Hunter knocked it behind the net. Here comes Paiement against Green. Bumped him in the corner. Green comes out with the puck though. Green now falling. And the referee called the play again.
There has been another goal at the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. Picking up the action, the Islanders in the dark uniforms have the 2-0 lead. Paul Boudelier on a pass from Pat LaFontaine. Beats Riggin. The puck is in. I don't know. I guess it counted because you saw Bob Nystrom with the stick up, Mick. Bit of confusion, but it's in, and there's the score. 3-0 Islanders.
Looked like it stuck underneath Riggins' pads, and of course Nystrom was right there, and he probably saw it go over the line. The rest of the players couldn't see it as Riggin had it blocked out, but it looks like Long Island will go home Wednesday night, leading that series 3-1.
And the Islanders keep rolling along. They came, Dick, within this much of being eliminated by the Rangers.
Don't we know it?
Don't we know it?
We were there.
Oh. But you have to give them credit. They hung in, got the breaks, and won it.
Mario Marois holding things up for just a moment. This program is copyrighted strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, distribution, or exhibition, in whole or in part, without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited.
8:53 to play in the second period here in the Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens lead 2-0. The goals for the first by Walter and Carbonneau. There is Steve Penny stopping it for Chelios. Here comes LaPointe trying to block it at the line. Goulet went after it, wrapped it loose, and Robinson was standing there. Robinson coming out. His right wing pass. The Nordiques doing a little more checking inside the line now. Head back to the goal by Sauvé. He digs it up. Canadiens are there. Come out with it. This is Naslin. Naslin dropped it. Chelios fired when he walked right into it and missed the net. Walter on the other side going for the net. Chelios again. One off balance and bumped by Goulet. Puck loose and Sauvé fed it back. Anton Stastny. Center ice pass to Goulet. Shot 3 feet wide of the Montreal goal. And Naslund coming to center. Little Naslund decides to go to the bench and shoots it in behind the Quebec goal. 7:50 to play in the period. The Nordiques unable to score so far. The Canadiens have a pair of them. Down the ice he goes. Ludwig touching it. Icing called against Quebec.
This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Forum in Montreal.
We know what you want now in a beer. A light taste with all the character and quality Canadian tradition demands. Export Light, brewed for today's taste.
Montreal out shooting the Nordiques in the regular season in their 8 games, 35-26, but the Canadiens seem to have their number here in the playoffs now, leading the series 2-1, and in this game, 2-0. It'll be a big lead for Montreal going back to Quebec on Wednesday to win this. Here's Lafleur. He missed the net by a good 2 feet with that shot. Nordiques back up. Shooting it in. Cote going in after Ludwig. Ludwig back of the goal. Stopped by Slager. Slager centered it. Savard couldn't tip it. Lafleur's there. Dumped it to the line, and Price fired one in wide. Here comes Slager again with Hamel racing over there. He fell. Carmelo back on it. It comes in front. Here's a chance. Nobody can shoot it. Moeller fired it through the crowd.
Down at the Nordique bench when the play was whistled down, and Bergeron just sang. What do you got to do? We've had an injury here, and it looks like a Quebec player because they're motioning to the Quebec bench. I think it is Louis Slager who is down in the goal crease area. As we take a look, Mick, at pretty wild action.
Well, this sort of sums up the way the series has gone for the Nordiques. Slager was belted by Craig Ludwig back over top of the goaltender. There is Slager in front making the moves, not being able to get the shot away. Moeller not being able to get it away. Finally, he just fires it through a maze. And how it stayed out, I don't know. But as you mentioned, Bergeron sagging down there. The Nordiques can't seem to get a break. They're hitting everything, and when there's nothing in the road, Steve Penny is there.
You know, Slager had that puck out, and when he dealt it back to the point man, he went right for the front of the net, which is what he's supposed to do.
Oh, he made some great moves. He had everybody down on the ice, but he was in a bad position to get a good shot away, and he dumped it back to Moeller.
And it cost him because, as you say, Craig Ludwig body checked him, and he fell over Steve Penny and down heavily at the goal crease, and he was on the bottom of that big pileup when the Nordiques came so close to getting on the board for the first time. Now here's the play. Penny down. Slager falls over him thanks to Ludwig, and that's when he was injured.
Looks like he may have banged his head on that goalpost, Dick. He's up now and on the way to the Quebec bench.
Louis Slager, a former Chicoutimi junior. He has been up and down between the American League and the NHL for the past couple of seasons. But I think in this series, Mickey, he's been one of the more energetic members of the Nordiques team.
Yes, he has. They haven't had many, actually, when you come to look at it. But again, Montreal has just put such a blanket over a lot of the Nordiques. It's really got them frustrated. They just can't seem to buy a goal.
And they need one badly. They're down 2-0 with 6:48 to play in the second period. Peter Stastny, Goulet, Taymon, Wesley, and Doré. Robinson and Green, the Canadian defenseman. Robinson on the boards with it. Doré stopped it. The Nordiques come in close. Here's a chance. Another big save. Another shot by Peter Stastny. And he made another big save. The Nordiques keep it in. Tremblay grabs from behind. Another long shot. Score! I think Will Taymon will get the goal.
And I think there'll be an argument.
No, it doesn't look like it.
You know, it's funny because Brian Lewis has blown a couple of plays dead tonight where the puck was loose, and it looked like the puck was covered from up here especially, and yet he was in the right position to make the call. I thought he would blow it dead right there, but Lewis to the right of our screen at this point Obviously could see the puck laying loose behind Penny. Look at Penny trying to find it. He's looking around players, and there's Paymont, and the puck obviously is sitting loose behind Penny, and Lewis there to make the call and let the play continue, and boy, that's a big one for Quebec.
13:36, the time of the goal.
Assisted by number 26, Peter Statsky, 80 numéro 25, and number 25, Blake Wesley. À 13 minutes, 36 secondes, at 13 minutes, 36 seconds.
Peter Stastny and Wesley assisting on the goal by Paymont. So it's 2-1. The Nordiques stay alive. They come back, and now they're within one of the Canadiens with 5:40 to play. In the second period, a break for Bergman going in, knocked down, and a penalty coming up against the Canadiens on that play. A tripping penalty against the Montreal Canadiens, and Bergman was nearly home free.
Live on CBC, this is Stanley Cup 84.
Penalty, number 28, Jean Hamel. 2 minutes for tripping at 14 minutes, 25 seconds.
Well, there is the announcement, and there is the reason why. Amel dumping Bo Berglund. You know, we talked last night, Bob, about the shots on goal. And the Nordiques not getting many. How about the Canadiens? They've had only 6. The Nordiques have outshot them 20-6.
Naslund picks it off right away. Dragging the puck. What a penalty killer this young Naslund is. Number 26, Canadiens. Ludwig missed it though. Nordiques swarming the zone now. Slager! And he came close, grazing the post with that shot. Berglund to Slager. The Canadiens, Naslund right there, picking it up and clearing it down the ice. Minute and a half left of the penalty. To Hamel. 5 minutes left in the period. 2-1 the score. Montreal. Berglund through center, goes to the right side. Goulet didn't see him over there, and Goulet lost it. Sauvé now going back, and behind the net, Marois. Canadiens have Carbonneau and Gainey on. The pass through the middle going astray. Ludwig will send them back again. A minute left of the penalty. Canadiens make changes again. Peter Stastny now will try to engineer this one. He does! Right in! Rebound is there! And he tipped it away. Kept in. Peter Stastny back of the goal with Goulet. Peter Stastny in the corner. Passed it out to Anton to Sauvé up the line. Into Peter to Anton to Sauvé. They barely keep it in. Naslund over there picked it up, and he cleared it down the ice. 30 seconds left of the penalty for the Canadiens. The Nordiques coming close to tying it. Stopping this pass is Gainey. Now he lost it. Cote coming in. A pass over in front. Robinson is right there. He got it out. In goes Carbonneau. Carbonneau swooping in on the net. Falls to the ice, gets back up quickly. 10 seconds left in the Canadiens penalty. The Nordiques have time to move it out. That'll be it. Hamel is now on the ice. The penalty is over, and Cote is called on the offside. So, onside, and the faceoff will be just outside the Montreal line.
Esso Motor Oils. Tested on the longest road in the world, where the heat can fry you, or the cold freeze you solid. That road begins here at the Esso Research Center, where Esso Motor Oils are driven to the limit to give you the great engine defense you want. Efficient engine performance, longer engine life. Where does this road end? For Esso, it never does. It's coming through for you that makes us better.
3 minutes and 32 seconds to play in the period now. as they get ready for this face-off to the left of Penny. Savard against Walter. Canadiens 2, Quebec 1. Gaslin, very prominent over the last minute or two, especially killing a penalty, is in again. Gaslin beats a pass in front. Cote forced back by Nyland. Nyland bumped him. Moeller for Quebec. A high pass down the ice. Penny out of the goal. He saw Savard coming in, and Penny lifted that one a little too high, and it went over the glass into the crowd.
Well, the Nordiques had a good opportunity, Bob. They had just gotten on the board. They get a power play opportunity and don't do a whole lot with it. They only got one shot on goal again. And they could have switched momentum to their side very, very quickly. They could have tied this hockey game. Lemaire now pacing behind that Montreal bench. Pretty well Montreal's way until that goal by Paiement.
Canadiens 2, Quebec 1, 3:10 to play in the second period. Something thrown out onto the ice. Ron Finn, the linesman, retrieving that. Bergeron, you know, with up one here. The Canadiens got one with 10 seconds left in the first period. To go up 2-0. Nordiques would like that favor return. Wesley at the blue line. A shot! Tipped by Green. And Penny had to be careful. It wasn't hard, but it did change direction. McKechnie fell. Up back up, but not in time, and the Canadiens will bring it out. Smith coming down. Smith and Turnbull going in. It's dropped to Turnbull. And the glove save by Bouchard. He hangs on to it. Turnbull can fire him.
Well, he had a couple the other night. Wrapped off goalposts before he got his goal in Quebec City in Game 2. That one he was a little bit off stride as Smith dropped it back to him. Barry Turnbull loves to get in there and mix it up. He's having words right now with Quebec defenseman. Here's the replay on a high angle look at it as Nyland went for Hunter went for the front of the net. Turnbull the long shot. Andre Dory, the Quebec player, having words with Turnbull.
So with 2:45 to play, they line up to the right of Bouchard. Canadiens with that one-goal lead. Carbonneau, Gainey, and Tremblay. Moeller with Price on the defense for the Nordiques going back. Peter Stastny is on with Paiement and Goulet. This is Goulet. Tipped it ahead for Peter Stastny. Carbonneau is there. Tremblay, goal!
An awful funny type of a goal again. Carbonneau just trying to dump the puck down in the Quebec zone, and there was nobody in the middle. Mario Tremblay was the guy in the spot. Now look at this. Carbonneau with a backhand that he missed on. And just onside was Mario Tremblay. He took a whack at it with a backhand and went right between the legs of Daniel Bouchard. And boy, that's a big one for Montreal to come back with 2.5 minutes to go.
Scored by number 14. Mario Tremblay. Avec l'aide numéro 21, assisted by number 21, Guy Carbonneau. À 17 minutes 31 secondes, at 17 minutes 31 seconds.
17:31. Tremblay from Carbonneau. So it's a two-goal lead again for Montreal. They're leading 3-1. Peter Stastny coming in. Stastny against Robinson. A bump by Robinson. It's in front to Anton. He has stopped Robinson upended. Play comes across the line to center. Peter Stastny is back there digging it out. The goal by the Canadiens, scored by Tremblay. That's only their third shot in this period. They've been outshot by Quebec. Sorry, Mickey. 21-8. The two-period total up to this point, 1:36 left. Great burst in speed by Trombley.
Fourth goal of the year, or the playoffs, I should say, for Mario. And boy, they get all these good scoring chances, and on a play like that, a broken play, he's just trying to, Carbonneau is just trying to dump it in the zone, and there is Trombley, Johnny on the spot, and a big one, 3-1 Montreal.
Trombley dug down, and he really skated away from everybody. Burst through on that one. Low shot through the legs of Bouchard. Into the corner, Slager trying to dig it out for Quebec. Grab, back to the net, center! Andre Savard got the shot away, but great work by Cote going behind the net. Well, Mickey, we've got it close again.
Every time we think it's going to get out of hand in favor of Montreal, here comes Quebec again. And a scrambling play once again starts this goal out. Cote behind the net there was Savard, who was in the right position that time. For one of the very few times, Bob, there was no Montreal defenseman directly in front waiting for a Quebec player, and Savard jumped on that loose puck and dumped it high into the top of the net, over top of Penny. And 1:09 to go, so Quebec returns the favor in a sense that Montreal getting that goal in the first period with only 10 seconds. And certainly that's got to help them going into the third period.
18:51, the time of this goal. Savard from Cote. It's Canadiens 3 and Quebec 2. You think there is no rivalry between these two teams? Doesn't take anything to get them going on each other. Canadiens open up a 2-0 lead. Quebec struck back with one. The Canadiens opened up a 3-1 lead. And now Savard scores for Quebec. Hunter and Carbonneau doing some pushing here behind the referee. Green is coming back in his own zone to Montreal. Green into the corner. And now, 1 minute to play in the period. That's Canadiens Tremblay. Out to center ice is Gainey. Gainey fakes once, twice. It's out over the line, slapped in by Hamel. And it's offside at the Quebec blue line with 51 seconds to play. And again, the officials have to be careful it doesn't erupt.
Dale Hunter stirring things up again over there. He wants a piece of anything that's in red, white, and blue right about now. Had an awful lot of extracurricular pushing and shoving in this series. Not that many fights, Bob, but a lot of delays. And after the face-offs are called, this play is stopped. A lot of pushing and shoving. Veteran Hamel. Montreal still going with 5 defensemen throughout the playoffs, and Jacques Lemaire using all 5 of them equally, swinging the extra man in different situations.
So 51 seconds to play, and Robinson has to hustle back again. Here comes McKechnie. Robinson behind the net. A pass ahead, stopped near the line, and still in there, and onside. McKechnie racing after it. Payma comes in to help him. McKechnie pushed around by Ludwig. There is Hunter falling. He got back up. Behind the net, McKechnie got away from Ludwig. McKechnie now tied up by Ludwig. Puck is fired near the line. Dore to Payma. Back in front and shot. Ripped wide of the Canadiens' net. Here's a chance at center. A long lead pass by Nyland for McPhee, and he couldn't reach it. Bouchard stepping out of the net with 5 seconds left now. Robinson is coming back. This will do it. He'll play it behind the goal, and the siren goes to end the second period with the Canadiens hanging on to that 1-goal lead. They led by 2, but then Savard, the second scorer for the Nordiques, and it's 3-2 Montreal. The 2-period shot totals 22-8 for Quebec. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage continues shortly with our second intermission.
Hi, I'm A.J. Gus Gervais, and it's manufacturing that makes the big difference.
This luxurious Silver Fox coat has the custom-made look because it is custom-made. You're invited to see the magnificent Gervais creations now in production in our factory at 762 Willette Avenue in Windsor, 2 blocks from the tunnel exit. Looking forward to waiting on you personally.
Allstate asks, are you burning money? What? Are you paying too much for car insurance? Too much? Because if you are, your money's going up in smoke. Well, what should I do? Get in touch with an Allstate agent. He has very competitive rates. Really? And special discounts to keep your costs under control. Wow! So call Allstate and make sure you get the best mileage from your car insurance dollars. You're in good hands with Allstate.
The Uphill, one of Windsor's newest dining and lounge experiences. Enjoy piano music while dinner is prepared and help yourself to the salad bar, a variety of fresh salad vegetables. Uphill specializes in steak and seafood. Of course, the chef uses only fresh seafood. And here's the beef, reasonably priced and cooked to perfection. Complete your evening in the intimate fireside room, also featuring piano music. The Uphill, a dining experience you'll come back to.
CBC News with Knowlton Nash.
Good evening. Here are tonight's top news stories. In Kamloops, British Columbia, a 25-year-old man has pleaded guilty to 6 charges of second-degree murder. David Shearing has admitted shooting a vacationing family of 6 in the summer of 1982 and then burning their bodies. In New York City, police are looking for 2 men believed to be responsible for the worst mass murder in the city's history. 8 children and 2 women were found shot to death in a Brooklyn apartment building yesterday. The Grange Commission inquiry into mysterious baby deaths at Toronto's Hospital for Sick Children has been suspended. Commission lawyers say they need time to discuss a court ruling preventing Justice Samuel Grange from naming any suspects in his final report. And in Halifax, CP Air has announced that it's bought Eastern Provincial Airlines for about $67 million. CP Air says it hopes to turn the regional carrier, which has a long history of labor problems, into a national airline. We'll have details on these and other stories later tonight on the National following playoff hockey. Now back to Hockey Night in Canada.
After a second period dominated by the Quebec Nordiques and at times some pretty good goaltending by Steve Penny, the Canadiens survived with a 3-2 lead over the Nordiques. In that second period, Paiement and Savard scored for Quebec. Tremblay for Montreal. The Canadiens managed only 3 shots on goal in the period. Stanley Cup update time here in the second intermission. We go back to the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland, where Brian McFarland is standing by. As we pick up the action, the Islanders, the Capitals are in the second period. Islanders leading 3-0.
Lane getting some playoff action here in place of Dave Langevin into the Capital zone. Larry Murphy is there, backhands a shot, and their pass intended for Carpenter, now on the far side to Gartner. Coming down with it is Peter Anderson, gets it in behind Billy Smith, going back for it is Morrow. Morrow on the right-hand side to Sutter, held in by the Caps, deflection there by Gartner wide of the net. And Lane shoots it down the ice. We're down to 2:50 on the clock in the second period. Trottier, Gillies, and Boudelier have done the damage for the Islanders tonight. They lead 3-0. And threaten to take a 3-1 lead in this Patrick Division Final Series. 16 players on the original Stanley Cup winning team for the Islanders in 1980 are still with the club this season. Haworth to Dave Shand in behind Smith. He leaves the net, gets it along the far board. Shand kicks it ahead. Potvin is there. Now Keller as the Islanders move it out. Trottier took a hard check. Shand gets right back into the Islander zone, spins in there, tried to give it to Langway, and now it's 3-on-2 for the Islanders. Goring couldn't get anything going along the near boards. Langway takes over. He's taken out of the play. Back come the Caps. Shand has lost a stick and pushed it ahead to a teammate, so the whistle stops play, and it'll be brought back. 2:09 on the clock. Broken stick on the play. That's Shand's. Watch now as he gloves it ahead to a teammate. Dave Shand Good utility man for the Washington Caps this year. In light of the injury to Darren Leach, especially. Bobby Gould had a fractured cheekbone in the game the other night. He was operated on here in Washington today. Timo Blomqvist to Stevens. 2 minutes to play, second period. Stevens back to Blomqvist. Franciscetti. Bouncing puck. Trottier is there. Into the center ice zone to Stevens. Stevens to Duchesne. Back to Blomqvist. Blomqvist on the right side to Franciscetti. Curry takes over. And now Stephen Pearson takes a hard check in behind Billy Smith. Potvin and Matt Saline get it down the ice to Stevens. Play is rather scrambly now as time is running out in the second period. 1:20 on the clock. 3-0 Islanders in front, and they pile up along the far boards. Potvin is there and stop the play.
So the Islanders appear to be doing their predictable defensive thing. We'll get back to the Capitol Center when our coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs continues in just a moment.
When you're stepping into the spotlight to capture a crowd's applause,
to get action banking for you and your business, talk to the Continental Bank of Canada. Bankers in action.
As time goes by, Canada's weather can prey on your house and your house paint. The sun fades it. The heat peels it. The cold cracks it. The wetness rots it. Your defense? Canadian Tire paints, now formulated to help stop the effects of Canada's weather. So the next time you paint, remember Canadian Tire's full line of indoor and outdoor paints, because only the strong survive.
Here's a name to remember for spark plugs. Copper Plus, the latest and best ever spark plug from Champion for just about every domestic and imported car sold in Canada. From Chrysler to Toyota, from Buick to Volkswagen, and everything in between. Copper Plus for top performance, no matter what you drive. Nothing sparks like a Champion, guaranteed.
Stanley Cup Replay is brought to you by Apple Computers, authorized Apple dealers throughout Canada.
Here at the Montreal Forum, after a Ryan Walter goal gave the Canadiens a 1-0 lead, final minute of the first period, and Guy Carbonneau gets in the way of a Larry Robinson shot, and the Canadiens have a 2-0 lead at the end of one. They played strictly defensive hockey, Montreal did, in the second period, but the Nordiques finally penetrated the defense right here. Wilf Baymont picking up the puck after Steve Penny appeared to have it frozen on the play, and the Nordiques are on the board at 13:36. But the Canadiens came back. It was only their third shot of the period. Carbonneau sends the puck into the Nordic zone. Mario Tremblay catches up to it and beats Daniel Bouchard, and the Canadiens have regained a 2-goal lead, 3-1. But it lasted for only a minute and 20 seconds, and the Nordiques got what might be a very big goal in the overall scheme of things when Andre Savard beats Penny, Cote assisting on the play to make it 3-2 at the end of 2 at the Montreal Forum. Canadiens 3, Nordiques 2, third period coming up.
Stanley Cup Replay is brought to you by Apple Computers and authorized Apple dealers throughout Canada.
This is a highly sophisticated business computer, and to use it, all you have to do is learn this. This is Macintosh from Apple, also a highly sophisticated business computer, and to use it, all you have to do is learn this. Now you decide which one is more sophisticated. Macintosh from Apple.
Good beer. The cold, refreshing taste. Here's a light-tasting beer, brewed with all the character and quality Canadian tradition demands. Export Light, brewed for today's taste.
It looked for a while, Mickey Redmond, as if the Canadiens would be playing the rest of the night shutout hockey. The Quebec Nordiques outshot the Canadiens 12-3. The Canadiens managed 1 goal, and as you know, the Nordiques got a pair. We've got a brand new game again. The Canadiens with a 1-goal lead. How are they going to play the third?
Well, Montreal certainly cannot stop the way they've been playing. It almost looked like Montreal was playing with Quebec in the second period, even though they weren't getting a lot of shots. The Nordiques seemed totally disorganized, and they really weren't getting a whole lot of good shots on goal, but Montreal's got to keep doing the same thing. And Quebec, I think, has to stick a little more to hockey. I know I've said it a couple of times, but stay to the hockey. They're a good team, and they can come back and tie this game.
Did you notice the Quebec Nordiques seemed to come on a little bit in that second?
Yes, they did. They certainly had, again, they getting some opportunities. They did get the 2 goals, and they seemed to take a bit of the play away from Montreal near the latter part, the last 5, 6, 7 minutes of that period, outside of the Tremblay goal.
Okay, Mickey Redmond, and now the third period is underway. And it's Doré for the Nordiques, shooting one in. Penny being very careful now. Slipped it up along the boards. Paymon was there. Goulet back of the net. Stopped by Ludwig. Got loose, but couldn't get a stick on it. Nordiques hammer away at it. Canadians decide they better get that puck out of the zone and down the ice. Wesley against Tremblay. Got the goal in the second period as he knifed one in just like that. Gainey now. A hard shot. Blocker save by Dan Bouchard, but Gainey can really fire him, and he was on a difficult angle, really, with that one. But he put it right on the net. Bouchard had to cover.
Bouchard upset with Mario Tremblay right now. Here's a look at the Gainey shot. There was a little bit of room in that top corner for Gainey to find, but he just sort of let it go at the net, not trying to pick a spot. Bouchard right now complaining to Brian Lewis, and Mario Tremblay came over and gave him a tap with the stick after the play was blown dead.
Smith, Turnbull, Hamel. Oh, what a save by Bouchard. That's his best save of the night on that hard, low shot. And icing called against the Quebec Nordiques, but Dan Bouchard pulled off a big save right there. Hamel took the shot from the line.
Boy, Jean Hamel has had several opportunities tonight, and there is one of his best right there, and that was a great save. That one was going in the far side, and Bouchard with the toe just kept it out of there. Hamel has been all over the place. He hasn't got credit for a shot on goal, but for sure he's directed 4 or 5. Of course, the one blocked by Marois in the second period that injured the defenseman. That was the big one right there.
Carbonneau, Gainey, and Tremblay. Price and Moeller, the Quebec defenseman. Outside the line it comes. Ludwig waited for a moment. Payma blocked his pass. Puck bounces to the far side. Goulet lost it. Carbonneau shoveled it over. Gainey again. Goal post. Another shot. That's wide. Gainey hit the post. Payma coming back. Payma up over the line. Ludwig chasing him behind the net. Payma bumped by Big Robinson. 3 Canadians come to center. This is Tremblay coming in on the right side. Dropped it back to Carbonneau. Carbonneau shot. Went through everybody and the crease. Back of the net. Bouchard gathers it in. He hangs on to it. Forcing a face-off in the Quebec zone from the Forum in Montreal. This is Stanley Cup 84 on CBC.
Celebrate. Celebrate a beer brewed for today's light taste. With all the character and quality Canadian tradition demands. Export Light, brewed for today's taste.
Bob Cole, Mickey Redmond, and Dick Irvin at the Forum in Montreal. It's 3-2 Canadians. With 1:28 gone in the third period. Walter, Naslund, and Nyland at the line is Green. Shot, kick out, rebound! And Bouchard covered up on the short side, and that was Nyland right in on top of him.
Well, Bouchard is really holding the Nordiques in right now, and this was a very large stop after the Hamel shot a few moments ago. Here's Gainey a moment ago, hit the goal post from the blue line. And Chris Nyland with a super scoring chance on a rebound, and Daniel Bouchard was there again.
Mondu got the draw. Lafleur got it back. The screen shot got through everybody again and just missed the net. Canadians coming close on those screen drives from inside the blue line. But it's still 3-2 Montreal. The Nordiques unable to get it going now in the early stages of the third period. It's been all Montreal. They had the puck inside the blue line 90% of the time of the first 2 minutes of this period. That's the time elapsed now in the third. As Lafleur tipped it up the line. The Nordiques finally shove it in behind the Canadiens' net. Coming in there is McKechnie with Hunter centering it. And it was tipped away by Mondu with Anton Stastny coming in. Wesley over there against Lafleur. Took a bump. It comes loose to McPhee. McPhee turning around with it. Backhands it into the corner to Bobby Smith. Wesley tied him up. Now coming out for the Nordiques is Hunter. Dale Hunter to center. Lost it against his brother, Mark. Canadians to Mark Hunter. Mark Hunter going in. Savard chasing him. And he took him in on the board. Wesley is bumped behind the net. Smith, third goal! Down goes Bouchard. And Bobby Smith got a neat pass out to Turnbull.
Well, Smith with that good forechecking went in there, took the body, and got the puck. And Perry Turnbull tried to dump that one up high over Bouchard. And Quebec again is sitting back, letting Montreal take it to them.
Canadians had 3 shots, Mick, in the second period. They've had 5 in less than 3 minutes here in the third.
Simon Nollet and Michel Bergeron behind that Quebec bench.
From the draw, Lapointe going back quickly. Ryan Walter got it back. Chelios the shot. That was wide of the net. The Nordiques shoot it to center ice. It's tipped into the Canadian zone by Savard. Here comes Slager after Chelios, who put on the brakes. Chelios made a good move, getting away from the check. A 2-on-1. Walter coming in. Walter shooting. He never got much on it. The rebound to Robinson. Wow! Bouchard made another big save. Nyland. Bouchard made that save. And it's gloved ahead. So they'll bring it back for a face-off in the Quebec zone. Bouchard is being tested here in the third period early. And he's been tested a lot.
Watch this. The man with the briefcase is a Bank of Montreal banker. The man he is calling on owns his own company. The banker is about to sign a document unique in Canadian banking. First Bank Financial Agreement, our formal commitment which spells out in writing the terms of all the services we provide to each business customer. And we sign it right on the dotted line. First Bank Financial Agreement, another good idea from Bank of Montreal. First Bank for business, not just money. Ideas.
Face-off is just inside the Quebec line. 3:28 gone in the third period. 3-2 Montreal. Canadiens. Gainey firing it in again. Here comes Tremblay, and there goes Price. Price for Quebec on this wing. Will Payma. The play comes out over the line. A Stastny stolen by Gainey. With Tremblay again. Couldn't go by Price. Here comes Gainey. He ran into his man, Payma. The Canadiens swarming inside the line. And it is called.
We have our Stanley Cup update to the Capitol Center now at Landover as we pick up the action early in the third period. The Islanders, who have a 3-0 lead, are killing a penalty. But on this play, Washington gets on the board. Looks like Craig Laughlin from behind the net. It's Bobby Carpenter who finds a loose puck in the goal crease. And it's 3-1 for the Islanders now. They are early in the third. There's been a goaltending change in Washington. Jensen has taken over for the Capitals in place of Riggin, who played the first two periods.
Mario Tremblay again having words with Bouchard. He faked like he was going to shoot that puck in the open net after the whistle had gone, and having words with Bouchard, and he went in.
Now they've hit the 4-minute mark of the third period. Canadiens lead by 1 goal. Mondu, McPhee, and Lafleur coming in. There is Lafleur, Mondu, and it's cleared away. Ludwig, and he didn't miss by much that high drive. Mondu did get a chance to make contact, was knocked away by Moeller. Ludwig racing back against Berglund. Ludwig around the net for Canadiens. He is stopped. Berglund in the corner. Sauvé slides it in behind the net again. McKechnie went after it. Now Berglund. Berglund was stopped by Mondu. Here's McKechnie. McKechnie got it in front. And hit the side of the net. Berglund again. Berglund looking for someone open. There is nobody open. Canadiens covering up. Dory centered it. A scramble. McKechnie fired another shot. And another. Penny out of the net. Puck is loose. And it's over the glass. Into the crowd.
Vic, did you see Bo Berglund that time? It looked like he was all set for a backhand, and he elected to handle the puck and swing around behind the net. Before that, Vic, let's go back to Washington on Stanley Cup update. It's a 3-1 hockey game, and here come the Capitals again. Mike Gardner slips the pass into Benko stops it. He makes the save, but Dave Christian following up, number 27, throws it upstairs behind a fallen Billy Smith, and suddenly that's a hockey game. Third period, and the Capitals have moved to within 1.
I'll tell you, this is a hockey game here in the Forum for the Canadiens and the Quebec Nordiques in the Battle of Quebec. The Canadiens winning last night, lead the series 2-1. Hanging on now to a 1-goal lead. The next game, of course, in Quebec City on Wednesday, nearing the 5-minute mark of the third. Face off to the right of Penny, back to the line quickly. LaPointe coming in a step or two. Got it in front, and it was tipped by Peter Stastny. Just missed. Now in front again. Out to the line it comes. Marwell wheels and fires. It ricocheted wide. Canadiens in a bit of trouble now. Can't clear it out of the zone.
See Steve Penny taking a swing at Paymon's ankles. There's Paymon staring back at the Canadiens rookie goalie.
I couldn't tell, Dick, whether Paymon shot. He missed him. Paymon saw it coming, but he got him that time. I don't know if Paymon shot hit a defenseman or hit Penny, Bob. It was just such a scramble. Paymon came out all alone. And somehow it deflected away. I have a feeling it may have hit a defenseman again.
Peter Stastny, Goulet, and Paymon. These are the three people Bergeron mentioned before the game he hopes will get going in a scoring way. LaPointe stopped by Tremblay. Scramble in front of Steve Penny in the Montreal goal. Gainey coming out. Hamel trying to catch up. Gainey will shoot it. And it's deflected high by Marois. The crowd behind Dan Bouchard.
Mario Tremblay still in a fractious mood, and in behind the play, Mick, you were pointing to me, we had cheek by cheek Peter Stastny and Guy Carbonneau. They were involved last night.
On this replay, watch Stastny, 26. One bang at Carbonneau, another one. And there's Lapointe and Tremblay tied up back there. And then Stastny and Carbonneau were side by side all the way up the ice.
Minnesota leading St. Louis 3-1. Acton, Bellows, and McCarthy have scored for the North Stars. Greg Kozlowski for the Blues.
Steve Penny was down on the other end of the rink, whacking his stick on the ice, trying to get the attention of the officials. Something on the ice down there. And Ron Finn, the linesman, you see him there, tidying up a bit. That was the big roar you heard from the crowd. They saw Penny in some kind of trouble. Not big trouble. Here's Ludwig, an easy shot. Well, it was tipped in front of Bouchard. He had to be careful. Cote wrapped it through the middle, down the ice. Icing is waved off. Penny out of the net for Green. Slager in watching him, and he ran into him. McPhee. A pass to center. That nearly sent Mark Hunter home. Now Price against Hunter. The speedier of the two. He got in there. Bobby Smith back to the line. Green poking in. He fired it right up the goaltender. Bouchard, you see McPhee was upended in front of him.
Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Hunter and Price. Two were at it that went in the corner a moment ago. As you mentioned, Hunter, the speedier of the two, got the puck loose when they went in the corner. When they came back out in front, they came nose to nose again and then went down in the scramble, and they come up swinging.
See, Pat seemed like such a nice, placid fellow, and he was with me in the first intermission.
This game has a way of doing that to you.
The expressions on Bergeron's face in the course of a hockey game some of them are just priceless. So we have penalties called on that exchange. Stanley Cup 84 resumes in just a moment.
There's not much you can really learn about any car engine in just 30 seconds. But one car, the Mercury Topaz, has approached the concept of power somewhat differently. The very way fuel and air are ignited has been totally rethought. The result, smooth, responsive power. It's called high swirl combustion technology, and that technology delivers high fuel efficiency. And it's just one of Topaz's many advancements. Mercury Topaz. Driving is believing.
There's a look at how it started. Again, Bob was describing as Price and Hunter went down into the corner. Hunter seemed to come out the worst on that one, but as they went in front, look from behind the net. That again, a big save. See, Hunter knocked Price flying from behind, and there goes McPhee. There's bodies flying everywhere. But again, Bouchard, Bob, has made another big stop in this period.
Question, he has been very sharp in the early going of this third period. Canadiens pressing Robinson. Again, big save. That was a hard shot by Robinson. Fired that one out of him. Price and Hunter, the roughing penalty. Here at 6:01 as Solveig comes up. Rolled it in over the line or outside. Wesley coming in with McKechnie already inside the line.
That shot by Larry Robinson was the 8th that the Canadiens have had in this third period. They had only 8 in the first 2 periods combined. And here in the third period, they've outshot Quebec 8-1.
Tell you what, Dick, out of the 8, about 6 of them about point blank like that one. Robinson about 40 feet out, and Bouchard, boy, it looked like he was moving the other way, and he still got that stick and leg on it.
So now, Dale Hunter comes to center for Quebec. Goulet is on the wing. Lapointe and Marois, the two defensemen. Robinson and Chelios for the Canadiens, with Walter up front along with Nazareth. And the Nordiques on the move with it. Hunter tried to stick handle in and lost it. Marois and Lapointe. Tucked the pass ahead. Canadiens Nazareth, forechecking well. Now it goes back again. Chelios and Robinson to Hunter. Or rather Walter. He was stopped. Now Hunter for Quebec. Coming in stopped at the line. Nordiques unable to penetrate. The Canadiens standing up, carrying it out. Walter on Robinson's pass. Walter dumped it in front of Naslund. Walter trying to get into the play again. And Lapointe slowly moving it out. Lapointe takes his time away from Naslund to Marois to center. Marois shoots one in. Wesley and Dore are on the ice for Quebec now. Dale Hunter got it back to Wesley. 40 seconds left in the penalties. By the side, Dore falling. Hunter going to the bench. Canadiens clearing it out. Dore stops it with Mondoon behind him. Now Dore coming in. Here it is. Stopped by Penny. Not behind the net. Anton Stastny. And Peter Stastny standing in all alone. Couldn't control it. It was right in his skates.
So with 12-14 left in regulation time, the Canadiens hanging on to a 3-2 lead.
When you buy a new car, you want to keep it looking new. And that's easy with Armorall Protectant. A scientific formula that took a polymer chemist 10 years to develop. It helps keep rubber, vinyl, leather, and plastic looking new. So even though you can't keep your car from getting old, you can keep it from looking old. Armorall. It's science, but it works like magic.
Brian McFarland here at the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. The Islanders shoot. Gilbert just dropped wide of the target. 3-2 the score. The Islanders leading the Capitals. And 28 seconds left in a penalty to Timo Blomqvist. Now back to Montreal.
Okay, like Fortini coming in, dropping the Carbonneau, and that's blocked by Dore. He didn't know where it was. There it is. Underneath him.
Well, one Quebec defenseman, Mick, gave it away, and the other one quickly covered up.
It's a big play by Dory. There's a slip by Wesley over by the Canadiens bench, and Gainey with the drop pass to Carbonneau. There's something that Carbonneau's been doing for 4 hockey games. Dory does to him. Blocks the shot.
Only 4 seconds left in the penalties now. Price and Mark Hunter. They're standing up over at the penalty bench. They'll be ready to come on. Puck is dropped, and behind the net it goes. Now the penalties are over, and the teams are at full strength again. The Nordiques clear it ahead. Offside is Price. He was out of the penalty box and tried to get into that play, but he was offside.
We have not heard anything from the Saddledome in Calgary. That game is underway now, as the Edmonton Oilers take a 2-1 lead in that Smythe Division Final Series onto the ice tonight. Anton Stastny, much talked about last night after the game, only he would have preferred to have been mentioned in another vein. It was the Larry Robinson check. Boy, they almost clicked there a minute ago, the Stastny brothers.
That is Hamel for Canadiens falling. Got back up, though, to give to Carbonneau. Tremblay. Ahead it goes. Gainey is up on the play also. Carbonneau shoots it in. Price has to hustle back. Bounced it on the boards in the corner. Peter Stastny to Goulet. Gainey watching him. Knocked back over center by Tremblay. Green to Tremblay. On the boards to Carbonneau. Not a bad play. Gainey has to race in now in a hurry. Moeller up to the ice by Gainey. Gainey got it along the boards. Carbonneau taking a look. In front, Tremblay. Looked the shot. And it hit a skate in front of Bouchard. Hamel knocked it down. Carbonneau again. The Canadiens coming on with this line. Tremblay scooped it away. And Bouchard just knocked it over behind the net as Moeller comes out for Quebec. Moeller up to center. Dumped a high one in. Chelios ripped it behind the net for Nyland. Nyland and Aslan up with Walter. There is Walter. Walter backhands it into the zone. Lapointe has to hurry back there. Nyland ran into him. Chelios took a shot. Didn't get through. Knocked down at the line. Nordiques clear it out. So no offside. Walter again. Turning. Stop. Larry Robinson intercepted. Robinson play to Walter. Walter going to the Canadiens bench. Nearing the halfway mark in the third period. It's 3-2 Montreal. Here is Cote speeding in. Cote behind the net against Chelios. Cote left it there. A pass goes back of the goal to Slager. The bounce crazily in front. And Penny was watching the puck all the way. Grabbed it.
So the screws start to tighten behind the benches. Jacques Lemaire with his team one ahead. 10:09 left, regulation time. Likes to keep the hands in the pockets and pace with his arms folded behind the Nordiques bench. Here's Michel Bergeron. Had a gentleman who could tell both of them a lot about playoff hockey. Is Maurice Richard. Most goals in the playoffs, most overtime goals in the playoffs.
Technique fired at it against Ludwig. The Canadiens will clear to the line, but not out. Here comes Sauvé. Here comes Green. And the technique. Green has the puck. Back to the net and gave it away. The Nordiques coming close now with a bit of pressure on the Canadiens. Bergman is bumped. Here's Sauvé. Sauvé back to the net. Takes a look around. It comes in front. A backhander high and stopped by Penny. There goes Smith. Bobby Smith got rid of it. It hit Mark Hunter, back to Smith. Up with McPhee, and Smith goes to the Canadiens bench. 9:30 to play in the third period. 3-2 Montreal. Canadiens stopping it at center was Naslund. Wesley was Dore, McKechnie, Sauvé, and Berglund. Wesley has to hustle back. Walter coming in there. And here comes Nyland. Wesley banged on it. Naslund goes to the corner. Trying to kick it loose back to the line where Hamel was waiting. And Konstastny stopped from moving in by Robinson.
3-2 Canadiens, 8:54 to play. The Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from the Forum in Montreal.
It's the dawn of a new era in microcomputer technology. The Tandy TRS-80 Model 2000 personal computer from Radio Shack, designed to meet your personal computing needs. It's faster, with higher resolution, more storage, and greater expandability than IBM's PC. Its ultra-high performance gives you the leading edge of Radio Shack's computer technology. The Tandy TRS-80 Model 2000 personal computer, the dawn of a new era in personal computing.
At the Forum in Montreal, the Canadiens hanging on to a one-goal lead against the Quebec Nordiques. Both teams have had chances here in the third period. Moeller to center, and Konstastny to Peter. Peter stopped by Carbonneau. Peter trying to shake loose. Got it back to Moeller. Moeller shot. Peter Stastny somehow got away from Carbonneau long enough to spot his man at the blue line. That was a good shot.
And a tremendous play, Mickey, by Peter Stastny.
Oh, you got it right. You know, Peter just stayed with this play. He was being checked again by guess who? 21 Carbonneau. Look at that. He's got two guys on him. He wheeled and got it to Moeller. And he took a shot, a wrist shot. You know, and a lot of guys in that situation will wind up from that point and try to slap the puck. Moeller just took that quick wrist shot, and there's a good angle of it right in the top corner. I don't think Penny saw the puck, and we are tied at 3.
Now Paymon coming in. He was stopped.
Peter Stastny, number 20, Anton Stastny. À 11 minutes 23 secondes, at 11 minutes 23 seconds.
11:23, the time of the goal by Moeller from Peter and Anton Stastny. Chopped down the ice by Robinson. Now we're tied at 3. And Anton Stastny on the ice again, cleared it in. That's Savard and Slager. Slager gets set. Took a shot. It's blocked by the Montreal defenseman, Ludwig, and it went over the glass and behind Penny.
You notice the jump in those blue sweaters right about now after that tying goal. Stastny with a little extra oomph up there. They can feel maybe they can go home tied.
You want to see him jump on the bench when that goal was scored, and just after. Bergeron was up and down the bench. He's got them all fired up down there.
So there is Randy Muller, the former Lethbridge junior from the West in his second full season, only 20 years of age, doesn't score many goals. At this precise moment, that's likely the biggest one he has ever scored.
That's just 4 of them during the season.
Canadiens twice had a 2-goal lead in the hockey game. They're tied now at 3 apiece. With 7:45 to play, and the Nordiques coming on strong. In the corner, that is Slager. Slager got it back. It was intercepted. Sauvé knocked it back of the net again. Slager ran into his man. Here comes Lapointe. Green for the Canadiens. Nearly stopped by Slager. McPhee left it for Smith. He was bumped. And back comes Lapointe. Mark Hunter in on him. Hunter took him in on the board. Here comes McPhee. Took a shot that was blocked by Marois. 2 players fall to the ice. And the play is called in the Quebec zone.
Best hockey of the night, Vic, right here. Well, exciting hockey of the night.
I mean, Quebec, for the first time, I think, since game 1, has looked like they've got some life. They feel like they can do something. They just have not gotten an awful lot of breaks. And I mean, I guess you could say the bottom line is they haven't worked as hard as Montreal either. So they say you make your own breaks, but all of a sudden here, they know all they need here is to get back on even terms, is to win a game in Montreal. It has to be this one after losing last night. And with only 7 minutes and a few seconds to go, they realize it's as much theirs as it is Montreal's.
Carbonneau with Gainey and Tremblay. That has been a fairly effective line as far as territorial play is concerned here in the 3rd period for Canadiens. They got the draw. Backhand shot, a weak one wide by Tremblay. Quebec starting out. Doré passed off to Price. Price rinked wide behind Paiement. The Canadiens shoot it back in. That was Gainey picking it off and clearing it in. Doré back there against Gainey. Carbonneau intercepting on the board. There goes Gainey after it. Gainey picked it back to Robinson. Shot deflected in front. The Nordiques trying to clear it. Peter Stastny very coolly played it to the side of his own net for Price. To Paiement. Peter Stastny coming in with Goulet. Robinson broke it up. Goulet is knocked down by Robinson. Peter Stastny is bumped by Carbonneau. And Ludwig coming out for Montreal ahead to Gainey. He dropped it back. Ludwig didn't expect that. Here's Carbonneau to Tremblay. He shot Gainey. Went up high. Gainey again. Back of the net. Gainey bumped by Marois. Got it back. Nyland over there. Stop. Quebec, get it out over the line. Robinson, tied up. Hamel, though, laid it ahead for Carbonneau. Carbonneau winding up near center, looking for the change. She goes to the bench. 5:55 to play in the 3rd period. And we're tied at 3. Hamel feeding it back. Techney was in there, nearly intercepted. Berglund got it in for Sauvé. Just missed that far post. Sauvé's quick shot going for the far side. He didn't miss by much. Bowler now. Nordiques coming on stronger now. They're shooting the puck in and chasing it quickly. There is Sauvé. Nazareth missed the pass. Bowler again. He'll play it back in. It's stopped at the line. Berglund now hooked the high one into the left of Penny. 5:15 to play in the 3rd period. It's tied at 3. The Canadiens played the series 2-1. It's a big game for both teams. This one here at the Forum in Montreal. Naslund shooting it in. Bowler coming back. The Canadiens making big changes. Berglund straight outside. That's about all. And got rid of it. He was going off on a change. Canadiens. Mark Hunter coming in. Ludwig trailing. Ludwig picked out by Bouchard. Right in front. Bouchard didn't have to save that one. It was blocked by Wesley. No! Bouchard reaches out, and he makes that save.
4th game in 5 nights for these teams, but they're turning it on as we get a hassle developing. Perry Turnbull trying to get at somebody in front of the Quebec goal. Mark Hunter adding his 2 cents worth. Doré, who Turnbull was after, and now they go after one another in the corner again.
It's the wrong time to be initiating, I'll tell you what. Game tied at 3 with 4:43 to go. You shouldn't be getting the ire of the referee up. Turnbull taking a bit of a chance by going after Doré.
Live on CBC, this is Stanley Cup 84.
As you remember, class, last week's Lotto 649 lesson on preparing for the big win, we covered Palm Beach, Platinum, and Polo. Today's Lotto 649 lesson is on going home. Home, James.
Home, James.
Home, James.
Home, James.
No,
James.
no. Home, James.
Home, James.
Lotto 649. Exceptionally attractive prizes. $1 the ticket.
Will you be ready?
There is Michel Bergeron. And you know the nerves are telling now. Bob Cole here in the booth with Mickey Redmond and Dick Irvin. The Forum in Montreal. It's alive again tonight with the score tied at 3 and 4:43 remaining in the third period.
Well, this is like overtime hockey now. You might as well pretend it's overtime. You don't really have to pretend a whole lot. One shot could end it right here.
Great action here in the third period. Wesley for Quebec. Doré is waiting for the pass, and he gets it. Doré coming out, Gainey backing up, and Payman shooting it in. Right on the net. Rebound! They couldn't get a shot away on the rebound. Back for Gainey. In with Tremblay. Offside. Sharp call by Leon Stickle this time, the veteran linesman over there. Stickle doing his 110th career playoff game. Sharp one.
Boy, you can't hear that whistle with that crowd screaming on each play now. Those guys are right on the money. Lemaire looks very calm, cool, and collected behind that Montreal bench, and Bergeron quite the opposite. He is into it.
Looking around, the Canadiens and the Nordiques, 3-3 here. Islanders lead Washington 3-2. 3-2 North Stars over St. Louis. Boy, it's close all over the place. Yep, we're in the playoffs, Mick.
You bet.
Here come the Nordiques. Anton Stastny laid it on the left wing, twice from the blue line. That's a high shot and off the net. Nordiques keep it in and slapped behind the goal. Big Robinson is there. Nyland can't clear it, but Robinson is there again. Robinson coming to center ice, leading the string man attack, dropping it back. Walter passing behind Nyland. Robinson's weak shot is stopped by Bouchard. 3:50 to play in the third period. A high one down the ice. Hamel nearly lost it. Robinson was back to scoop it out. Giveaway, and Naslund hopped on it quickly. Nyland up to help him. Fired it in wide of the Quebec net. 3.5 minutes to play in the third period. The score tied at 3. The Nordiques trying to win this one tonight and tie the series. Changing now as they shoot the puck in. 3:20 to play. Green takes his time. Gets it out. Hamel. That pass broken up. Canadiens hustle it down the ice. Mondu was falling when he got rid of it. Slager from center. Slager likely shoot it in. He did. Green is the first one back. 3 minutes to play in the third period. Now it's nervous time. Mondu and McPhee. Mondu is stopped by Savard. He dropped it back to Marois. 2:50 to play. In it goes. Penny will watch this one carefully. Shoved it off to the corner himself to McPhee. McPhee for the Canadiens left it for Green. He just pulled off the puck. The Nordiques, Marois played it ahead. They come back in. Slager breaking for the goal. Here's pass in front, and Savard couldn't shoot it. Wesley at the line. Dumped it ahead. Lafleur anticipating the play. Hit McPhee with the pass. That shot right on the net. Stopped by Bouchard with 2:20 to play. Canadians forechecking. There is Turnbull in after it. Bobby Smith in the corner. Looks out in front. Comes to the line and knocked out by Bergman. Racing in against Ludwig. Ludwig broke up the play neatly. 2 minutes to play. Back for Montreal. Can you believe this action? Here is Mark Hunter into the corner, and he is bumped on the play by McKechnie, and they get a whistle for a face-off in the Quebec zone. Our Stanley Cup playoff action continues in a moment.
how to build an expensive radial tire. You build it tough. So tough it meets or exceeds national brand specifications. You build it to last with a 5-year road hazard guarantee. In fact, you build a tire so good it can do something you might not have thought possible. It can replace one or all of the present radials in your car, no matter what brand they are. That's the way we build every Canadian Tire radial tire. It's everything an expensive tire should be, except expensive.
Mickey, can you believe they can put out like this late in the game?
It's amazing that Dick had mentioned 4 games in 5 nights, and they're still putting out extra.
Tremblay trying to center it. The Nordiques will clear it out. There goes Will Prima. He is breaking in a shot. Wide. Now we welcome you, Western viewers, who have been watching the Edmonton-Calgary game. We're tied at 3. There's a shot right on. Quebec tying it up here in the 3rd period. They were trailing twice in the game by 2. Minute and a half left. I'm Bob Cole, and with me is Mickey Redmond, and we've got excitement, folks, for you here. Gainey for the Canadiens coming in. Gainey gets set, stopping along the boards. Gainey dropped a pass to the corner, and the Nordiques start out again. A long pass ahead. Goulet is bumped, couldn't go very far. Hamel was all over him. Robinson lost it. Peter Stastny engineering this play. There's a drive. It was stopped. Now Marois again. Marois stepping in. A play deeply to Wesley. That shot deflected by Carbonneau. And that is something that Carbonneau has been doing all through this series.
Now we'll take you from our action back to the Washington Islander game, where Clark Gillies has given the Islanders a 4-2 lead on the Washington Capitals in Landover. And that one, I'm sure, Bob, is late in the 3rd period as well, as we are, with only 57 seconds to go here in our game, and overtime looming.
Walter and Carbonneau made it 2-0 in the first. Paymont got the first Quebec goal in the second. Tremblay again made it 3-1. Then Savard 3-2, and Moeller here in the 3rd. For Quebec, we're tied at 3. The shots are 29-19 for Quebec. 11-7 though for Montreal here in the 3rd period. 57 seconds to play. Face off inside the Canadian line. Marois left it there, comes out over the line. Slager back. Slager pounds one in on the board. There's Robinson. Slager stopped it. Canadians gonna break here. Walter catching up the slot and goes in. Shooting! And high off the glass. Has been missed it. 3 Nordiques out of the zone. Slager fired it across the line. Now back the other way. What else is new? They've been up and down. Naslund fired a shot and blocked. Wesley didn't see it. Naslund! He couldn't get a shot away. And the Nordiques got it down the ice with 20 seconds left. Now 18 seconds left. Ludwig back. 14 seconds to play. And there'll be a face-off in the Quebec zone. This is for sure the Stanley Cup.
I'll tell you, I lost sight of the puck. As Naslund came in, the shot was blocked by Wesley, and the puck was loose, and all of a sudden the little guy found himself alone. Except for Louis Slager, who checked him from behind and prevented Naslund from getting an excellent scoring chances with just 20 seconds left, now only 14.
Mickey, I think there's a timeout over there, and this is a good chance to pass along this information to everybody across the country that should this game wind down his last 14 seconds, and we do go to overtime, we're going to go to Brian McFarland. He has been in Washington covering that game, Washington and the Islanders. So Brian is standing by to bring us action from there. 4-2 Islanders at the moment. 3-3 here. 14 seconds to play in the 3rd period. Canadians lead the series 2-1. Off the boards. It comes back to Robinson. A shot knocked down by Walter. Scooped at it, but it was a high stick. A good call by referee Brian Lewis. He was sharp to call that one. He did right away. It'll come outside the line because it was, in fact, the Canadian player who made contact with the stick over the shoulder. Well, 7 seconds left now.
Looks like we'll get our first taste of overtime in this series, and you can tell this building is just absolutely on the edge of their seats, and if Montreal should win this game in overtime, take a 3-1 lead, it will go crazy.
All right. Ron Finn comes over to help Leon Steckel. Finn is the free linesman on this play, and he was spotting the action in behind Steckel, who was about to drop the puck in. Tremblay and Hunter, they've been having words for the better part of the evening.
They're jockeying to see who can get the best position over there.
It's dropped in. Price dumped it off the boards down the ice. Folks, we've got overtime here. In game 4 of this playoff between the Quebec Nordiques and the Montreal Canadiens. It's tied at 3. Our Stanley Cup coverage continues shortly.
Introducing a great new addition to the land of Dairy Queen. New Queen's Choice Hard Ice Cream. There's luscious strawberry, rich chocolate, and many more of your favorite flavors in the most wonderfully rich premium quality hard ice cream. Queen's Choice Ice Cream at participating Dairy Queen stores now.
In the land of Dairy Queen, we treat you right.
All over the world, nations spend billions on know-how. Know-how to build and run a railway. Know-how to establish and maintain communication systems. Over 50 countries have bought that know-how from a group of CN people who over the years have developed a wealth of experience. And the money these countries spend to improve their way of life improves our way of life. CN, in business for Canada.
Mary Poppins.
For a spoonful of sugar.
Julie Andrews stars in the Disney classic. Mary Poppins, Saturday night.
The Quebec Nordiques and the Montreal Canadiens are going into overtime in Game 4 of their Adams Division Final, and they are doing just that because of Randy Muller's goal for Quebec at 11:23 from the Stastny brothers, Peter and Anton. The Nordiques at one point trailed in the hockey game 3-1, but it's 3-3 at the end of regulation, so overtime lies ahead. Elsewhere tonight, Minnesota leads St. Louis 3-2 at the end of 2, and Edmonton, on a goal by Pat Hughes, is ahead of Calgary 1-0. Now we go to Washington. Brian McFarland with the Stanley Cup update. Islanders leading 4-2 as we pick up the action.
Caps. Duchesne couldn't set up a teammate in front, and the Islanders just drifted down the ice. That's Bossy. Bossy goes to the bench. Larry Murphy to Scott Stevens. Flips it in. Gustafson in a forechecking role. Janssen with the puck on the right side. Flipped ahead. Blomqvist bounces off a player. Blomqvist has trouble. The Islanders behind the net right in front. Gilbert couldn't get a shot away. Back come the Caps with 2:34 to play. Gardner to Christian. Christian couldn't control the puck. Flipped up against the boards and out to Blomqvist. Brent Sutter chases Blomqvist back, then goes to the bench. Flipped in on Smith. Stefan Persson is there to Potvin. Backhand flip by Gartner. Couldn't get much on that with 2 minutes, 9 seconds left to play in regulation time.
This is the grand after game tonight. Post-game show is Ron Weber, special guest sponsored by Anheuser-Busch.
The Islanders, 2 minutes and 9 seconds away from taking a 3-games-to-1 lead in this best-of-7 final series in the Patrick Division.
Up to 1 hour at the conclusion of the game.
Carpenter, Haworth, and Brian Erickson, the forward unit for the Washington Capitals. There's Big Gillies, who scored 2 goals here tonight, having an excellent playoff series. From the faceoff, weak shot right on Billy Smith. Langway moved in, couldn't keep the puck in the Islanders zone. Going back for it is Dave Christian. Minute 56 on the clock. Sutter goes after it. Steered away from him. Christian fighting for it in the corner. Now some Persistent forechecking by the Islanders with time running out on the Washington Capitals. Here comes Brian Erickson. Couldn't go around Morrow. Feeds it in front. Back it comes to the near boards and outside the line. Christian to Langway. 1:30 to play. Smith out of his net. Leaves it there for Trottier to Gillies. Gillies. His pass intercepted by Erickson. Scott Stevens charging up the ice. Flips it into the corner. Johnson slaps at it. Couldn't get it out. Gustafson. And Johnson tie each other up. Now to Gustafson. And he couldn't get a shot on Smith. Trottier to Bossy. Here comes Bossy down the right side. Empty net and he scores. Jensen had left the net while that play was in the Islander zone. And Bossy spotted the opening and took advantage. And scored into the empty net. It's 5-2. The Islanders in front. 59 seconds on the clock. So Bossy gets his 4th goal of the playoffs. Racing down the right side. He looked up, saw that empty net. Jensen had just left it. And he neatly slides it home. 19:01, the time of the empty net goal by Mike Bossy. They scored an empty netter here last night to make the final score 3-1 Islanders. Now it's 5-2 Islanders with 59 seconds to play in regulation time. This game is going to go to the Islanders, and they'll go back to Long Island with a 3-1 lead in the series. They'll play out the final few seconds now, 45 of them. Potvin and Pearson playing a game of catch with each other. Finally goes down the ice, and that's icing against Long Island. 34 seconds to play, and the Islanders have done it to the Washington Capitals here again tonight. Trottier, Gillies, and Boudelier gave the Islanders a 3-0 lead into the second period. Carpenter and Christian got the Caps back in the third. 2 goals in 34 seconds. But then Gillies' goal and Bossy's into the empty net. And it's a 3-goal margin for the Islanders now. And time has just about run out on the Washington Caps in this 4th game of the series. Trottier winning the key faceoffs all evening. Took another one there from Jarvis. 24 seconds left to play, and they scramble after it in behind Billy Smith. He doesn't care if they scramble after it for another few seconds. 19 seconds on the clock. Smith will be just 1 playoff appearance shy of Dryden's mark and Jacques Plant's second place career totals of 112 playoff games. And from the faceoff with 15 seconds left on the clock, Gilbert at his own line. Up to Trottier, shovels it ahead with 8 seconds left. Glove on the ice. 5-2 Islanders. A lot of the seats deserted now as the Caps fans have left the building. There's the buzzer. And the Islanders take a 3-1 lead in the series with the Washington Capitals as a result of their 5-2 victory over the Caps here at the Capitol Center tonight.
Well, a lot of people thought after Washington won the opening game of that series that maybe an upset was in the making. But such is not the case, it would seem, and those Islanders just keep doing their thing. So they take that 3-1 lead back into their home building for Game 5 on Wednesday night. Well, it's 3-3 here at the Montreal Forum. We are tied going into overtime. Red Fisher standing by to chat hockey with me, particularly the Stanley Cup playoffs, live on CBC. This is Stanley Cup 84.
Over the years, your changing fuel needs have caused changes in us.
Morning, Joe. Time for gasoline.
In 1939, Esso introduced their new premium.
Esso Extra, please.
With the post-war car boom, the need for gasoline grew. Then came lower-cost self-serve.
Fill her up. Yes, sir.
Unleaded gasoline.
Premium unleaded, please.
Diesel. And down the road, propane and future fuels. Anticipating your needs makes us better.
You make us better, you do. Esso.
What do you call the technology that produces state-of-the-art VCRs? That brings home the distinctive blue screen diamond vision with up to 40% truer color? That developed the brightest giant screen TV on the market and the diamond collection of car stereos? The technology that delivers sophisticated home audio systems, vertical linear tracking turntables, and the remarkable digital audio disc player? The Japanese have a word for it: Mitsubishi.
Red Fisher of the Montreal Gazette joining us here in this overtime intermission. First of all, Red, I guess the universe is unfolding as it should for the New York Islanders. Did you think there was maybe an upset in the making somewhere in that series?
I don't think so. I mean, this team has won 4 consecutive Stanley Cups. Just when you think they're down, when they're dead, they come up with, as you say, they do their thing. And that's how you win Stanley Cups. I wasn't at all surprised that they went into Washington and did what they did.
Minnesota is leading in their hockey game tonight, 3-2. Acton, Bellows, and McCarthy for the North Stars, Kozlowski and Fedorko for the Blues, who have a 2-1 lead in that series, Red.
St. Louis surprised me. Yeah. You know, I was surprised they got this far. And they keep on playing well. They won 3 overtime games. They may have another one tonight. Who knows? Big surprise.
Pat Hughes has scored for Edmonton. They have a 1-0 lead.
Another surprise. I didn't think that Calgary would give Edmonton that much trouble. Obviously, they have been giving them a whole lot of trouble. They won that one game in Edmonton and close games.
All right, let me ask you this. Who gave who the surprise here in the 3 periods tonight? They took turns, I think.
I guess so. I mean, that second period, those Nordiques came out and looked like the Nordiques that we've seen all season long. They outscored the Canadiens 2-1 in that period, but I think that was their big chance to maybe perhaps get 3 or 4. Steve Penny made some big stops, but I think the Nordiques themselves probably didn't come up big around the net when they should have.
You used a phrase about the Blues. You're surprised they have got this far. You have to apply that to the home team in this building tonight, I'm sure?
No, not surprised. Just shocked, astonished, amazed, stunned. Those are the words that I'm thinking of. I mean, I never, ever expected the Canadiens to be this far in the playoffs. I didn't expect them to be in the second round. I don't mind admitting it. I don't imagine anybody else across the country is admitting it. Most people that I've run into, they say they knew that the Canadiens were going to beat the Boston Bruins in 3 straight games and so on and so forth, etc. Sure.
They're playing pretty good hockey. They're playing different hockey than you and I watched for 6 months in the regular season. Can they win the series, no matter what happens here tonight? If they go back into Quebec tied 2-2, for example.
The way they've been playing, why not? You know, the big thing, people say, what's happened to the Canadiens? What has happened to the Canadiens is that they put their best 5 defensemen out there. They're getting consistency in the nets. They haven't had that all season. They're getting some very good play up front, certainly in a checking manner. So when you put that kind of a game together, anything can happen, and has happened.
But, you know, if the Canadiens get the goal here tonight, it's advantage Montreal, obviously. But I think if Quebec gets it...
Wow. I mean, you know, I'd hate to be going into Quebec if I were the Canadiens with the series all locked up, because the Nordiques, if they win this one, they know that they can come up big in Quebec.
Okay, Red, thank you very much. We have overtime ahead. It's a 3-3 tie heading into the first overtime period. Upstairs now, Bob Cole and Mickey Redmond.
Thank you, Dick. And Red, you know, Mickey, the Canadiens were involved in 7 overtime games in the regular season. They won 1, tied 1. Make that tied 5 and lost 1. Quebec were in 15. Didn't win any. Lost 5 and tied 10. And here we are in overtime. LaPointe shooting. Rebound. The whistle goes and Penny makes a big save. Young Penny played in 4 games in the regular season, Mickey. He won 3 against Boston. He lost them all. He won 3 against Boston. As you look at this first chance that Quebec had, a shot by LaPointe, he's 2-1 against the Canadiens. Now he is in his first overtime game in a crucial game.
Well, I don't think it. By the way he's played, I think he's gained a lot of fans. The more games he's played and the better he has played, he's played very, very well. I don't think, by the looks of things, it's going to change his feelings any. I mean, he knows how important it is, even in regulation time, and he has really been a big factor for Montreal, and he's tested early, 12 seconds into this overtime. He's been the story for Canadiens.
Peter Stastny, Paiement, and Goulet. 3 big shooters for the Nordiques are on there. Marouin, LaPointe, every man inside the line. We're in overtime, and Robinson fired it down the ice. This will be icing. Marouin is going to come back. Bouchard watches it carefully in the crease area, so they'll do it at that same spot to the right of Steve Penny.
You talk about Steve Penny. This is Jacques Lemaire's first look at overtime in the playoffs. Looks cool, doesn't he?
Sure does, but I know the butterflies are churning all over the building, including behind the bench.
Red Fisher had said they hopefully don't want to go back to Quebec. The series all tied up and make it a 2 out of 3 with Quebec the extra game.
There's the draw. And it's Goulet and Peter Stastny. Peter Stastny always dangerous. Back to the line, Marois. Grabbed by Penny now, brother. There was a save. That was a high shot. I'm not sure if it was over the crossbar, but that's a fast glove hand.
Well, we'll have to see if we can tell on the replay whether that would have been over the net or not. But it was too close for Penny to let go. I think that might have been underneath. Boy, it was close. But it's like taking that third strike. You can't let it go. You've got to go after it. Look at that.
Very close, buddy. You're right.
It was a quick hand.
He had to get the glove up, and he did.
Peter Stastny with some great work off these faces.
Back to the line. Marois make the shot. Threw it in behind the net. Came on, digging it out. It's been all Quebec so far. Now, 3 Canadians. Robinson, Tremblay centered in. Gainey was in there. Gainey again with the puck up the line. Gainey to Robinson, shoveling it off to the corner. The Nordiques now. Robinson pinching in. The Nordiques trying to dig it out, and they'll get a face-off into Quebec zone thanks to the work of Larry Robinson in along the boards.
I tell you, every play is dangerous in overtime. Rick Lapointe playing in his first game of the series is on there. Michel Bergeron showing a lot of confidence. And the young defenseman, there's that Montreal effort. Tremblay getting it in front to Gainey, and that one just deflecting off a skate. But you never know. Anywhere on the ice you can score. Let her go at the net.
Mondu got the draw. Green kept it in. The Nordiques slow and clearing it. Jose lost it against Lafleur. Lafleur knocks it to the side of the net. Bowler wrapped at it. It comes to center. Here's a break for Savard. And a good play by Hamel. Knocking the puck away. It's centered through the crease, and Lafleur will swing out. He's now with Mondu. McPhee winding up, getting in a good area, but tied up and can't shoot it. Now the Nordiques go the other way. They're not stopping. It's Savard coming in with Cote. Pass in front. Here comes the Moeller. He couldn't get a shot away. Now Wesley, stopped by Penny. And the Montreal goaltender hangs on to it. The last 10 minutes of the third period was unbelievably fast, up and down. And now we played 1:40 of overtime, and they're still going all out. Why not?
Let me ask you this, Bob. Do those 2 saves by Penny, the one by the glove and that one there, answer your question? Do you think he's nervous?
Yes.
Huh?
I also qualified it before we went on the air, and I said sometimes people, when they're nervous, just reach down and play a little better. Maybe he's one of those, and he is.
Well, I suppose everybody's nervous out there, but boy, he sure looked calm under fire.
A couple of great saves already by Steve Penny, the 23-year-old, into his rookie season for sure. In his first Stanley Cup overtime game, he's tested early. And he has come up rather large. Now Wesley at the line. Shot didn't get through. Gainey will slap it on the boards. He fell. The Nordiques had to hustle to get back on side, and they chop it right in again. Chelios is back. He wasted no time clearing it. Tremblay knocked it to center. Again, the Nordiques shoot it in. That's a high one over the glass. A Stanley Cup souvenir for the fans down in that area. 2 minutes and a second gone.
Peter Stastny out there again for his second shift. 2.5 minutes. And he looked sharp the first time, setting up a couple of plays back to the point. Looks like Quebec, Bob. You remember Bergeron before the hockey game said, I'm going to change things a little bit on this power play. I'm going to use those points a lot more. And boy, Peter Stastny has been doing a good job. And they head for the front of the net.
He's on there again now with Paiement and Goulet. Carbonneau, of course, out there when Peter Stastny is on the ice. Tremblay and Bob Gainey. Robinson fired a pass ahead. Carbonneau had a shot at it, but missed the pass, and icing is called against Montreal, so they'll bring it all the way back. Quebec has had 3 shots in the overtime. Montreal, so far, nothing.
Well, most of the play has been in the Montreal zone, except for the one rush by Gainey and Mario Tremblay. You look around this building right now, and you can just feel the people are waiting hoping mostly, of course, Montreal will come out on top.
Peter Stastny, Anton Stastny. To his left, Paiement, the right side. Lapointe and Marois, the defenseman for Quebec. Ryan Walter on the draw with Bob Gainey and Tremblay. And Larry Robinson and Chelios are the two Canadian defensemen. From the face-off, Paiement tried to get it back. Gainey slapped at it, coming out of the zone. Here is Tremblay. Walter catching up. Knocked down by Bouchard. And he fired it high on the glass. Canadians keep it in. That was Robinson reaching after it. Marois wrapped at it, and that goes out to center ice. 2.5 minutes gone in overtime. At center, Paiement turning, a pass up over the two lines. And the Nordiques are offside. Bob Gainey and Tremblay racing in on that last rush.
Captain Gainey playing some strong hockey for Montreal. But many more scoring chances as they start to mill around at center ice now. Against Perry Turnbull coming off the bench, trying to get at Randy Moeller. There's a check that Gainey took from Marois down on the corner. That's probably what started this whole thing, and they had a few words, a couple of captains.
They settle down a bit, and we're about ready to resume for what we have seen tonight, standout hockey.
As we were talking, Bob, in that third period, Quebec seemed to really come on. Getting the tying goal from Moeller, and then they started jumping.
In the center ice area, Ludwig shoots it in. Moeller going back to the net. It's wrapped on the boards over there. Comes out at 2-on-1 for the Quebec Nordiques. Sauvé and McKechnie. Sauvé! Rebound! Bobby Smith has it. And he's standing right up on that play. They're still in. Another shot. Score! Yes, sir. Berglund picked up the rebound. And folks, he ripped the shot by Steve Penny. And this series is tied at 2 games apiece. The Nordiques have defeated the Canadiens 4-3 in overtime here at the Montreal Forum.
And this building is in shock. Absolute shock. The Canadiens bench, of course, just heading for the dressing room. That Nordiques bench, they poured off of there. Here's the announcement.
Bo Berglund got the goal at the 3-minute mark of sudden death overtime. And the Canadiens and the Nordiques go back to Quebec City. This series is tied at 2 games apiece. As we look at this again,
J.F. Sauvé, who has been a standout for Quebec throughout the series with a 2-on-1. Penny makes a good stop there. The Canadiens' failure to clear the puck, and Sauvé again. And Berglund picks it off and picks the short side just beside Penny's trapper. And that ends it. Exactly 3 minutes into overtime.
And a reminder, the national news will follow our telecast. This has been a dandy as you see the winning goal by Berglund at the 3-minute mark. And so the final score is Quebec 4 and Montreal 3.
Ahoy! Welcome to the Acme Brewery. Great to have you aboard. They say you spent 5 years with Molson Golden, but you learned a lot, huh?
Oh, yes, sir.
Like how they make the golden so darn smooth.
Well,
if we had the secret, we could make our beer just as smooth. Tell me, boy, how did they do it?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't know.
You're fired.
How do they make Molson Golden so smooth? Good question.
I hate them. I hate them.
The look of the new Thunderbird improves the way it drives.
The handling of the car it's incredible. It really is on the highway.
The shape of the front, the fit of the doors, the mirrors smooth the air. The shape of the rear helps press the tires to the pavement.
You just totally enjoy it. It's the best car we've ever had.
Have you driven the best built North American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
Great surprise.
So we are going back to the Colisée in Quebec City with the series tied 2-2. Bo Berglund, the first star, Peter Stastny, the second, and Guy Carboneau of the Canadiens, the third. Give the Nordiques credit. They were down 3-1 late in the second period. They got a goal from Savard at 18:51. In the third period, Randy Muller at 11:23. And then Berglund with the dramatic game winner in sudden death overtime at the 3-minute mark. Bo Berglund wasn't in uniform last night. He was an extra man, a designated sitter. But he's the hero across the way as they hoop it up in the Nordiques dressing room. So Wednesday night, we'll be back in Quebec City. Dick Irvin saying good night from Montreal.
Live on CBC, Hockey Night in Canada, brought to you by Molson Breweries, brewers of Molson Canadian, bringing you the finest in hockey broadcasting for over 25 years. Canadian Tire. There's a lot more to Canadian Tire than tires. Canadian National, in business for Canada. Esso, you make us better. And by Ford of Canada. At Ford, quality is job one. Driving is believing. Hockey Night in Canada is a CBC Sports presentation produced in cooperation with Canadian Sports Network.
CBC.
It's your year, Canada, Canada, for a holiday, what a place to see. Canada, what a country, there's really so much more. Go explore Canada, what a country. Coast to coast, let your neighbor be your host. There's so much to enjoy in Canada.
What a country!
See your travel agent. A message from Tourism Canada.
It's the consistency. Charbroiling each Harvey's burger to perfection. That's the challenge.
Oh, please. You just have to charbroil them all the same. I have to garnish every one differently, and that difference makes every Harvey's hamburger a beautiful thing.
So what I do is always the same?
And what I do is always different.
But until I do what I do, you can't do what you do.
You have a point.
You'd be nothing without me.
I don't even want to think about it.
Harvey's makes your hamburger a beautiful thing.
Hi, folks. This is the Cardio King, just keeping in tune with the times. And as you know, times are always changing. Just look at these cars and trucks. This is why people come from miles around to Marathon Ford Selection Power. And when it comes to price and service, the Cardio King doesn't fiddle around.
See the Cardio King at Marathon Ford, Leamington.
Just imagine the great sandwich you can make with Ontario-prepared meats.
Instead of bread, why not try stir-fry? Or a tasty fettuccine. Sauce and dice and simmering and spicy. Roll it over, stuff it, shredding, chopping pizza topping. Oh, you'll never say goodbye. Either way to ride. Ontario salami, bologna, half pastrami. You like to make it known they don't live for bread alone. Good things grow in Ontario.
Presenting the most economical way to heat your home. Oil? Certainly not. Electric?
That price will shock you. Oil plus electric heat pump, still expensive. Natural gas. Ontario homeowners have chosen it 2-to-1 over anything else. Once you know all the facts, you'll agree. A natural gas system is the cheapest way to heat your home for today and tomorrow.
It's your year, Canada, Canada, for a holiday, what a place to see. Canada, what a country, there's really so much more. Go explore Canada, what a country. Coast to coast, let your neighbor be your host. There's so much to enjoy in Canada, what a country.
See your travel agent. A message from Tourism Canada.
Horse racing excitement late night Friday on CBET.
Monday, April 16th. Tonight, on The National, Clearwater killer. David Shearing pleads guilty to slaughtering a BC family. Grange suspended. The judge says he may not get all the evidence on Toronto's baby deaths. And on The Journal, challenges and choices. The MacDonald Commission's interim report on Canada's economic prospects. An interview with Donald MacDonald on what the Canadian public has told him. The National with Knowlton Nash.
Good evening. David Shearing says he did it. He committed one of the most grisly mass murders in Canadian history. Shearing killed 6 vacationers in British Columbia's interior about a year and a half ago. Their charred remains were found in a burned-out car near the town of Clearwater. Jerry Thompson reports.
The suspense lasted just about 8 minutes. That's how long it took for David William Shearing to plead guilty to 6 counts of murder. He confessed to the killing, but why he did it remains a mystery. The small one-room Kamloops courthouse was packed and silent as the Crown prosecutor told a gruesome story. George and Edith Bentley of Kelowna met their daughter, Jackie Johnson, her husband, Bob, and 2 children for a camping holiday in the wilderness near Wellsgrave Park in north-central British Columbia. When the 2 families disappeared, RCMP launched a massive search, but found nothing. A month later, their bodies were discovered in a burned-out car, and the 2 missing families...
Uh-oh. Better get me.
Celebrating this province's 450th birthday. Well, they could not have asked for a better beginning for the celebration than a Stanley Cup playoff battle between the Canadiens and the Nordiques. So the Canadiens scoring with 10 seconds left in the period, and they lead 2-0 over the Quebec Nordiques. It certainly is a pleasure to have as a guest in our studio a player who in his time really exemplified elegance in the game of hockey, and that has not left him at all. Jean Beliveau, welcome. How did you handle the transition from not playing, from playing?
Well, I think I work all along. I remember when I went to Quebec City, I was 18 years old. I started to work. And when I joined the Canadiens in 1953, again, after practices, I used to go back to the office and work until 5 or 6 o'clock. So and I was lucky to play until I was 40 years old. The transition was very easy. And today, 10, 12, 15 hours a day, I can understand what it is.
So you're putting in your time. Now, you played for years in Quebec City, and you played, as you said, for 18 years here in Montreal. Where do you find yourself siding on this rivalry that we're seeing tonight?
Well, I went to Quebec City for the first 2 games, Thursday and Friday. First reason to support my team, the Canadiens. But also, I have to be maybe a little selfish in saying that it brought back great memories of when we opened that beautiful building in Quebec in 1949, and some of the series we had. The record, matter of fact, is still 16,800 for one of the games we play against Barrie for the semifinal of the Memorial Cup, which is junior caliber. And with the Quebec Aces, we play against the Montreal Royals, which was owned by the Canadiens in a senior level league. And the rivalry at the time was thus maybe not as high as it is in this series, but it always been rivalry. And I don't think there's anything wrong with rivalry as long as you don't let your emotion take over and control. It means that if you let emotion, you lose your control.
I think the fans may be losing their control. For the people who may be watching in the United States who consider the rivalry between Los Angeles and San Francisco or St. Louis and Chicago, how can you describe where this began and how important it is to the Quebec people?
Well, as I said, I think it's always been. I think there's a rivalry in business between the two cities. I think there's rivalry not only in sport, and this series only reflects the old situation as a whole. This rivalry, as I said, it's good as long as you don't let emotion take over.
As Senior Vice President of the Montreal Canadiens, what is your opinion as to what happened to this team to turn it around from losing its last 6 games to being 5-1 in the playoffs?
Well, I believe, first of all, the coach. I think Jacques Lemaire is doing a great job, a fantastic job. But people kind of forget that the team that we're watching right now is not exactly the team that our fans watch in January. By that, I want to be specific in saying, take our goalie. For the last 2 or 3 years, it's been known that we had a serious problem in the net. As another example, 2 of our regular defensemen, Root and Natras, are not playing. Yeah. When you have Chilios and Green, which is back, you have young Hunter, who is a strong, good hockey player. Unfortunately, at a very early age, had a bad injury in the knee. Now seems to be back, and we hope that he's going to be fine for many years to come. He's only 20 years old. And a couple of trades. So the team that you're watching is a little different than a month ago. And I think another key of our success is that Jacques Lemaire is smart enough to realize that he knows his players, and he's using the style for the players he has.
Jean Beliveau, you're a happy man, and that's great to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Jean Beliveau of the Montreal Canadiens, our guest in between periods 1 and 2, and for being with us in between periods, he'll receive a handsome Kodak disc camera with automatic film advance and a built-in flash that knows when to flash. Well, certainly Jean Beliveau has left his mark on the game of hockey, but how about Charles Adams, whose lifetime spanned 1876 to 1947, but during that time he, along with Art Ross, formed the Boston Bruins, the first American team in the National Hockey League, and then also negotiated to build the Boston Garden above the great Hall. A conversation from the great Yvan Cournoyer. Here's Bobby Orr.
Yvan Cournoyer spent his entire 16-year NHL career as a member of the Montreal Canadiens. The fleet skating right winger was dubbed the Roadrunner and succeeded former Montreal greats such as Jean Beliveau and Henri Richard as captain. Cournoyer participated in 10 Stanley Cup crimes, 4 as captain. Yvan Cournoyer joined Bobby Orr to reflect on his career as a member of the Montreal Canadiens.
Bobby Orr and the hockey legends.
Growing up in the Montreal area, your dream had to be to play for the Canadiens.
You're right, Bobby. You know, when you're young, you dream to play for Montreal Canadiens. But I was very fortunate. My uncle bought me a pair of skates for my birthday, and this is where it really started.
Your first hero was Gilles Tremblay, and I understand he was a very generous guy.
Sometimes Maurice is your idol, but me was Gilles Tremblay. And one day, we have a chance to play together. So we're going on a breakaway, and he looked behind me, and he see me. He said, Yvan, he said, you go. And I went, scored goals, no rebound. Joe, he said, you know, I was right. He said, you know, never a rebound.
Trivia contest. Watch for questions and clues during Radio 1990's special Week of Stars. A thought-provoking chance to be a winner.
Radio 1990.
Only on USA.
We are about to enter hockey's twilight zone. Sudden death overtime at the Forum in Montreal in this Game 4 of the Adams Division Finals. 3-3 is the score at the end of regulation time. This sudden death overtime is brought to you by Toyota Trucks. There's a whole new generation of Toyota trucks for 1984. As Al and Gary have already told you, this is the first overtime session in this series, but that does not mean that these games have not been close. They certainly have. With me is Jimmy Mann of the Quebec Nordiques. Jimmy, why are these games so close? Montreal really at the end of the season nowhere near to the way that Quebec has been playing.
Well, you know, the playoffs is a completely whole new season. It's a do-or-die thing, and Montreal has the team to play better than what they played near the end of the season. But then again, they knew they were going to finish the position they finished in, and sometimes you just tendency to lack a little bit. But when the season is over and the playoffs start, it's a whole new different thing, and it's a do-or-die thing. So they got to win. So they play to their best.
After a long tenure with the Winnipeg Jets, you now find yourself with Quebec for, you told me, about half a year now. What can you tell me about this team, the character, the way they play, how much they want to win?
Well, I think it starts at the head office, because when I arrived in Quebec, it was just like you were a king. I got in there and I didn't know anybody, and all the players were there asking me what I needed, and if everything was all right, and they made me feel at home. And just the atmosphere of the team and just what they give us, they give the players everything they want. It's a whole complete different atmosphere than I was in Winnipeg. Maybe because you get $15,000 a game and they have a little bit more money, but they do their best for the players. I think that's and the players prove it after they play their best.
After coming in contact with so many athletes from Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Poland, the Eastern Europeans have a different outlook on sports and capitalism and the way athletes should approach the game of hockey. What difference does that make, having the three Stastnys on the team as opposed to Winnipeg, where I don't think you had any?
Well, in Winnipeg we didn't have, I don't think, they had three brothers. There's Peter, Anton, and Marion, and they've played together. They're probably the best Europeans I've played with. I mean, like I was with Marion yesterday, and I never seen a person that's so disappointed about the game that they lost. And whereas I thought maybe some of the other like Swedish players we had, well, you know, they wait for the next game. I've seen Peter, Marion, Anton when I first came here stay out an hour and a half just by themselves on the ice, doing 3-on-0, nothing to make sure that they have position right, and it was just something to see, and that's probably why they're probably the best that's playing in the league now.
Now, we had Quebec play an overtime game on USA near the stretch of the season, and they lost that. And as I believe they lost every overtime game they played. How might that affect them now as they enter this overtime session in Montreal?
Well, like I say before, you know, it's a new season, and we know it's like we don't want to go back in Quebec down 3-1. You know, it's only an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and we want to go there with a 2-2 so we can have a little bit more momentum. So I think they're going to put all their effort right to the end for tonight, and I don't think they're going to be thinking about the season, the losses, the overtimes we've had in the season. I think they know it's a big overtime thing, and we've got to get it. So I think we got to go in there with a 2-2.
Now, for Montreal, as we've mentioned, some of the older players are churning again. They've been blocking shots, and in their own words, they've been taking away the neutral ice area. They've been preventing Goulet and Paymon from getting started. Yet tonight, 3 goals for the Quebec Nordiques. Is that a positive sign?
Yeah, it's a positive. I think it's got to do with a lot of the work on the coach's part, too, after last night. I guess they spent most of the night making sure, looking to see what we can do to change that, and we had some meetings, and they figured to do it a certain way, and it seems to be working tonight. So, like I say, it goes from the coaching now to the players. Everybody's in it 100%. I think that's why if we're going to win, it's going to be everybody together.
Jimmy, thanks for your insights.
Thank you.
Jimmy Mann of the Quebec Nordiques, our guest in the sudden death overtime period. And for being our guest, he'll receive a fine-looking reversible ski vest from the fine line of Toyota Sportswear. The Zamboni doing its job here at the Forum in Montreal, and we're doing ours, bringing you live coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll be back for sudden death overtime on USA in a moment. The next goal wins the game in Game 4 of the Adams Division Finals as we continue live from Montreal on USA Sports. Very simply, the story is this. The Quebec Nordiques, coming off the best regular season in the history of the franchise, are now facing quite a dilemma. They trail in the series 2-1, and now going into sudden death overtime, anything can happen. The Montreal Canadiens into the playoffs, having swept by the Boston Bruins and having their worst year since 1951. And Al Albert, it just reminds us that it's not the team who's best after the regular season, but
team that really initiated, brought it to the Board of Governors, and fought for overtime this year. It's ironic. Well, they were the worst in the league.
Perhaps they are saving it for the right moment. No better moment than now. It is Steiner
in the NHL for the best defensive player. He's been playing up to his tops. Here you see Gainey colliding with Mario Marois, having an exchange of words on their way back.
And stick. 17:21 on the clock. That remains in this first overtime.
Time is immaterial, only the effect of when the teams may rest again if no score is made.
We could be here all night, Albert. I just want to warn you that.
Never know where we may find Al Troutwick the rest of this evening. 2-on-1. Sauve along with McKegney. Sauve shoots, save as Penny stood right up to him. A 2-on-1. Berglund the shot, score! It's over. Quebec wins. Bo Berglund, who has been all over the ice throughout the night. 3 minutes into overtime, fires it by Penny, and the Nordiques come back from a once 3-1 deficit and beat the Canadiens 4-3. They tie the series 2-2. The series has completely turned around.
Well, the very jubilant Michel Bergeron and the trainer of the Nordiques congratulating their players. That was a big one. Steve Penny, after having made the initial big save, gives up that rebound. And for one of the few times this evening, the Canadiens did not show good defensive play in their own end zone. Bo Berglund picking up that loose puck and just driving it by Steve Penny, giving the Nordiques the game-winning goal.
The Nordiques, it was all Nordiques in the overtime. They outshot the Canadiens 5-1. And it is their 28-year-old rookie, Bo Berglund, who has been a pest all evening.
A big win, but in your own thoughts, how big was it to go back 2-2?
Well, you know, you can't fall behind 3-1, then you're in big trouble, you know, especially we got to win one here now. We got the home advantage again, and you know, we haven't been scoring, and that was, you know, and that's what we haven't been doing. And tonight we got 4 goals, and I think with 4 goals, I think we can beat the Canadiens, and that's what we got to do every night.
After the game began, your first trip to the locker room, you carried with you a 2-0 deficit. Montreal led. What were your thoughts then?
Well, I don't know. You know, we fell down a little bit, that's for sure, because we thought we had the most of the chances. You know, I think they had 5 shots in the first period. But we played a lot better last night. We got more scoring chances last night. I think last night we didn't get any more scoring chances. But if you keep getting the scoring chances, then the goals will come. And tonight we got a lot of scoring chances, and especially in overtime where we got all our chances. So that's the way we got to play.
And to begin the second.
Calcium, fiber, all the balanced nutrition like a healthy meal.
My energy is